All right, welcome back to the IMNerd podcast, guys. I'm your host, Freeway, and I'm here with my co-host, Kenny, and we have a special guest with us today, Anthony Simpson, returning for probably like the fourth or fifth time. And we are going to be talking about Wanda in the Multiverse of Madness, because that movie was definitely more about Scarlet Witch than it ever was about Doctor Strange, but we'll get into that. So, how do you guys want to start this one off?
I guess you could just start it with just, first impressions. Based on the pregame, I think my first impression is slightly different than both of you, so you guys go first.
Well, okay. My first impression was I was entertained. I had impressions throughout the movie because, like, initially at the beginning, I was like, okay, this is cool. This is cool. A little on the cheek, but I was like, but this is fine. And then it got to like the middle, and I was like,
yeah, so that is how I feel. The beginning of the movie I thought was pretty decent. Like, it just starts off with a different looking Doctor Strange with a ponytail running away from some fucking demon entity thing that's trying to kill him and this girl, America Chavez, who has the power to move between dimensions. And he gets killed. She gets teleported to, the main Marvel universe that we've been watching this entire time. And that's kind of where the movie kicks off. You find out about all her abilities and who she thought was chasing her, and it ends up being Wanda. I think my problem with the entire movie, I'm just going to cut right to it. So, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen this movie yet, leave now.
you haven't seen this movie yet. Why are you listening?
Yeah, why are you listening to this episode? But yeah, I mean, we say this all the time, but we still give you a spoiler alert. Okay, so the premise of the entire movie is so poorly thought out and written because Wanda / Scarlet Witch goes on a killing spree because she wants to be with her children again. So she plans to like steal this girl's power to transfer to another universe to then, I guess, kill the Scarlet Witch / Wanda there and take her kids as her own and live happily ever after. Now, the problem with this is, and I saw this meme the other day that was really funny. I actually just shared that, I believe, on Monday. But the meme was like, so let me get this straight. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is essentially about Wanda, who created characters like a Sims person and then went on a killing spree because of these kids, that she created like a Sims character. And that is the entire basis of everything that's happening in the movie. It's really, really stupid for multiple reasons. The main one being they were made up children and you can just make them again. Like, you are that you're more powerful than we've ever seen you. You now have the power of the Darkhold. Your magic has only gotten stronger over time. There's literally no reason why you can't just bring them back into existence or go to a secluded space instead of taking over a fucking actual town of human beings like WandaVision, which I actually enjoyed that show, by the way. And check out that podcast episode that we did on that one. But in WandaVision, she takes over Westview, like an entire town of people, which is really unnecessary now that we know that she can create life from nothing. She takes over Westview and basically warps reality. That's one of her abilities, but she chooses to not do that anymore, except when it's convenient for the plot, and instead decides to start murdering people who are trying to defend this girl, America Chavez, from being taken by her and killed by her, so that she can then go and kill another Wanda to take her kids. It is absolutely ridiculous, the entire premise of the movie, once it gets to the point where you realize, like, what this all is boiling down to. Outside of that, I will say the movie is entertaining at parts because it is still a mainstream Marvel movie, so it's not like one of the off ones like Morbius, for example, that I just felt like didn't have a real place. Morbius. Yeah, Morbius didn't really like. Morbius is.
Have you guys seen that?
I've seen it. I've seen it.
Nah, I'm gonna wait till I can fucking watch that shit on 480p.
Man, there's so many memes. I'm not sure what's real and what's not anymore.
I have no idea. Movie.
I want to see it like a bad movie night.
It's not made by Marvel. It's made by Sony. So like I
don't
care about it.
That's why. That's why I kind of consider it like not to be a mainstream, Marvel movie. It has that side story feel, kind of how I feel about the Venom movies too. Like the Venom movies, they don't feel.
Are they made by Sony too?
They probably are.
Yeah, I think
so.
All the ones made by Sony suck. Like that's just because Sony fucking sucks.
I feel like Morbius is probably analogous to how we all feel about Jared Leto, so that's pretty appropriate.
Yeah. I think Doctor Strange
and Jared Leto.
Jared Leto is he's weird in all the wrong ways. That's how we feel about Jared Leto.
I just don't think about him, just like I don't think about that movie.
All right. So anyway, Doctor Strange is not a bad movie, like overall. I think that this is more. I think the movie is this. The script of it is bad, and I think that the directing of it is bad because it does try to blatantly be a horror movie, and I think it fails at doing that. I don't think it does it very well. It really.
Well, hold on. I don't think that it was trying to be a horror movie. I think that it was trying to be a Sam Raimi horror movie.
Yes.
And I think that it succeeded at that really well.
Okay, well, if that's what you're saying,
Sam Raimi's like his genre of horror is a little different than like what you would think of like a like typical horror.
Yeah, he made Evil Dead.
I don't think I've seen that.
Yeah.
It's a really quirky movie.
He's a campy horror kind of guy, which like I appreciate campy horror when that's what I'm in the mood for. I just think that this movie, honestly, like I could lay out like a list of all the things that I find wrong with the movie, but ultimately it just feels like what it is. It feels like Sam Raimi wanted to make a big budget horror movie in his style, and that's exactly what he did. And he said everything else be damned.
Yeah.
Like character arcs or writing or
too many jump scares.
Like, there were too many jump scares.
There was the part where they were trying to get rid of every puddle, every reflection in a room, and there were like jump scares, and I was like, "What the fuck? Like, what's happening right now?" And then there were jump scares later on too.
There was only one really good jump scare, and it was when they were in like that sanctum. That was the only good jump scare.
What was
it was also appropriate. It was like when those monsters popped up, those like guardians of
when they first activated.
Yeah, and they were like just lingering in the darkness. That was like the only good jump scare.
Yeah,
but
there were a bunch of parts that I just kind of was staring at it, like I'm not really sure what's going on. I mean, not to completely, like I said, the movie isn't all bad, so not to completely shit on it. Like the visuals of the movie, it looks nice. Like it looks like every other Doctor Strange cinematic I've ever seen, right? Like you have some cool mirror dimension looking stuff going on in the movie. You have him doing all his weird hand movements, which TikTok had a field day with. There are so many videos of people on TikTok just doing all the weird signs and symbols and movements that Doctor Strange does. And just, it'll say like on the screen, anytime Doctor Strange is doing anything. And you just see him going like all the weird hand signs and shit. It's just like voguing. Regular people. Yes, basically voguing. And they're like Doctor Strange at any moment. So I thought that was funny. I always love what comes out of these movies, but
I don't use TikTok because I am an adult.
Right. I don't use TikTok either, but that shit comes across my Instagram account because everyone posts.
Oh, so you are an adult. Okay, all right, cool. Yeah. You don't actually use TikTok. You see TikTok.
I blatantly don't have a TikTok, but everything that's on TikTok that's like really big tends to trickle down into Instagram and repost it. You can see it say TikTok on the video too. Like it.
I'm with both of you, but them girls shaking the ass on TikTok, they're adults too. All right. Don't take it away from them.
I didn't even know that there's a dark side of TikTok.
Oh, there's
a dark side of TikTok.
I didn't know. I thought it was for the kids.
As a side note, I do think it's funny. What you said's true. A big thing on all the social media platforms, I feel like nowadays, is just like on Instagram, a lot of people will just repost a Twitter post.
Yes.
Or like on Twitter, it'll be like an Instagram screenshot. I'm like, y'all, what is all this? Anyway.
And Facebook is the bottom of the barrel, but yeah.
I mean, nobody uses that anymore, really. It's like, I mean, people use it, but less. Anyway, that's not the point. I think I like the movie quite a bit more. I don't know. Unfortunately,
before you get into your point,
you didn't see it more than once, right, Fraser? I know some of the movies you see more than once.
I actually did see this one more than once, unfortunately.
Okay.
Yeah.
I only saw it once, so unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to remember all the details, so I might rely on you guys to fill me in on some things I kind of forget.
Okay.
I also only saw it once, but I'll just say that it's funny because you thought that it was decent. Fraser thought it was okay. I think the movie's terrible. I thought the movie was terrible. Just
terrible.
Yeah, I think it's a bad movie.
I do think it's a bad movie for me because I'm a harsh critic of movies in general. I think most Marvel movies are bad. I don't think there are many good Marvel movies. If you ask me, there's probably 4 or 5 good, like the word good. There are 4 or 5 good Marvel movies to me, and that's it. This would not fall into the category of good. This is a movie that I would never willingly watch again. Like I don't see any reason to ever watch this again. I think that it's not like the movie had good parts and it had entertaining parts in it. But it's not a good movie. Like it's just not, the script is bad. Like the idea of why all of this is happening. Why I just feel like they threw away all of the character development of Wanda in this movie. Like she literally went through the entire
Butchered Wanda.
it's like ridiculous. Like her character arc has been all about this redemption, and then Westview happens, and then she realizes she did something wrong again, and it's more redemption, and then this happens, and it's the same thing over and over again. They just like and then they kill her at the end. It's just ridiculous. Like every time you think that she's making some progress, she ends up becoming more and more ridiculous and killing a bunch of this movie reminds me of Game of Thrones, the last 2 seasons, when Daenerys just starts killing people, and it's like, holy shit, how did we get here? Like, how did we get to this point?
I just recently rewatched Game of Thrones, and yeah, it's
So in terms of like the Wanda and the character development thing, I don't know if I necessarily agree in that because WandaVision, she goes through, all the things she goes through in WandaVision, and she has like a character arc, but most of that show, she's not really herself. She's kind of disillusioned and things like that. And by the end, she comes to. But then by the end, by the super end of WandaVision, like we see her becoming Scarlet Witch and like using the tome, and like it kind of ends on a very ominous note. So I don't think she has as much development as people claim that she has, because it kind of ends pretty ominous in her going toward that dark direction.
I just watched WandaVision like Monday. Like I watched it again, and I watched the first Doctor Strange movie preparing for this podcast.
Well,
and I will say
that shit was irrelevant.
I will no, because you're right, because this movie wasn't about Doctor Strange, so it was
really
kind
wasn't.
of irrelevant.
We've been talking about only Wanda and Scarlet Witch this entire time.
But I will say that there is no transition between WandaVision Wanda and Multiverse of Madness Wanda. And it's fine if there wasn't going to be any like live transition on.
Wait, am I wrong? Does WandaVision is this like an end credits thing from another show? Does the show not end with her?
So here's the thing.
There was.
Hold on. Let me say this.
You're right. It does, but there was like no transition.
Yeah, and so Anthony's right. There is no transition. She goes from doing the whole WandaVision thing and ruining people's lives and having this entire town held captive, right? She realizes that she was wrong, and she turns into a good person. She resets everything back. She says, okay, what I did was wrong. She acknowledges that what she did was wrong. She then also seals Agatha away and turns her into a fucking... So she can't be an evil witch that blatantly goes around killing people and stealing their magic. She turns her into a nosy neighbor, and then she's like, okay, I'm going to change everything back to normal. So she's like, this was fucked up to do. I'm atoning for this. I'm also going to go into solitude. She leaves. The show ends, and then it does a post-credit scene, and it's her reading through in like a secluded location. It's her reading through the Dark Tome. At the time, we don't even know what the fuck is going on, but she's floating in the air, and she has on the cool costume, and she's like looking through the Dark Tome, just going through the pages. But like from our perspective, we don't know anything about that. Like it's just like, okay, she's going through this book, and she's now has this full it's like the silhouette of the costume. Like she didn't actually have it on really. It was like a glowy thing. It looked really fucking dope. But the point is like, the last thing that you heard her say was like, okay, this was a bad thing that I did. Like in so many words, like this is a bad thing I did. I'm gonna go and like seclude myself, and that's what she did. That's what she does. And then the next time you see her is like, And I guess this is the natural progression of it.
The next time you see her, she's like, I've been very reasonable up until now. And you're like, bitch, what are you talking about?
You're like, you just were not reasonable. Like you literally. You're talking about being reasonable, like you literally just took over an entire fucking town. Like you took over an entire town of people. Like what do you mean? There was nothing reasonable about that. That was such a fucking insane thing to do, to take the free will of all these human beings. And now you're like, well, I'm just going to kill people now. I think.
Well, she was talking about being reasonable in terms of poor America.
Yeah. But like the scary part about it is that these are made up children that she actually has the power to create again. Period. That is simply a fact. Like that cannot be discounted. We can't overlook the fact that she created those kids, and she could do it again. She is stronger now than she was in WandaVision. That is also a fact that cannot be disputed. Like this is a stronger character who can create people. She did not have sex with Vision to have those kids. That did not happen.
I think that's part of her dilemma and part of her problem, in that when she was under essentially her own spell, and when she turned all of that off, the time that she was under that spell felt real to her, and she, you know, created emotions, and she had like this attachment to these kids. So I don't look at necessarily as like, oh, she fucking created these kids and she can just recreate them, because obviously yes, but that's not necessarily how it happened for her. For her, she had these kids and it felt real because at the time she wasn't fully aware of what she herself
Okay.
was even
So
doing.
then explain to me her wanting to go to a different universe, because if she can't just create the kids again, then how the hell do you think
No, no,
it's
no,
okay to
she can
take
create them again, but I think I that's the thing. She's not thinking on like a sane. She's not thinking on a reasonable mindset. She's trying her best to like. She's trying to, from what I got from it, she's trying to use her power to like
steal
attain
someone
something.
else's
And
kids? She's literally
yeah,
trying to use her power to steal a completely
listen,
different set of kids. Those are not the
she's
same
a
kids,
villain.
by the way.
I'm not saying she's a good guy. I'm just saying I
I'm
do
saying,
think
because it sounds like you're arguing against the fact that the premise of the movie is fucking stupid, and I think that that is
yeah,
ridiculous. Like I don't think we can get past the fact that she is trying to steal someone else's children, and that's the entire, like, that's her plot point, is I'm going to steal
yeah,
these kids away, and when I could create the same kids, because they're not, if you go to another universe, those are not your children. So her saying I want my kids back, you might as well create your own, because at that point, like, you stealing someone else's, those are different kids. We saw that every universe has its own, like, everyone's different. Like, you're not the same person in every universe.
yeah, and I mean, people in the movie try to explain that to her. I think Wong tries to explain that to her, but she
Why
is
did no one
feeling.
say, Wanda, bring them back? Like, why, like, these are some of the smartest people. You have literally Reed Richards, who's like one of the smartest people ever. Like, Wanda, go back to your universe and
Well,
create your kids
Okay,
again.
I'm not gonna get started on that part of the movie,
to be
but
fair,
Also terrible, right? Also
Reed never
terrible.
got a chance to talk to her. To be fair, Reed got
Oh, he did talk
destroyed.
to her. He told her
that
that Black Bolt could kill her with one word from his
That's what
mouth,
they
and that
didn't
was the
get much of
dumbest
a.
fucking
no,
thing
we're
that he
we're
ever could have
talking
said.
about it now. Now we're talking about it. We're talking about it now. This is what I don't want to talk about this part yet, because that whole part I thought was cool, and then I realized it was terrible. But
Yes.
anyway, so the reasoning the movie tries to give you is that she is being manipulated by the Darkhold. Like, she has a Darkhold and the Darkhold has her, is what I think they said, which is probably the only good writing in the movie. But anyway,
And no one says to this girl, yo, you're
but
wildin'. Why don't
well,
you just create the kids again using the power? The Darkhold can do anything, apparently. It can
well,
literally do anything.
if she's like, if she's single-minded in a thing, I can understand like your darkest desire being like the only thing you want to do, right? The problem is that like the plot was poorly written for it, because like, okay, this movie is a great example of telling and not showing. Like, there's a lot told to us and they never show us shit. Like, they never show. That's why I say there's no transition between WandaVision Wanda and Multiverse of Madness Wanda, because like the end credit scene in WandaVision, you see her using the Darkhold, like you said, which should have been the beginning, the setup for the transition of her being like, you know, manipulated or corrupted by the Darkhold. But they don't do that. Instead, they just give away the gag in like the first 5 minutes of the movie when Doctor Strange goes to go see her. I thought he was gonna go see her, and then it was gonna be like Wanda joins them,
Me
and then
too.
like over like, you know, half of the next act, she really starts to get corrupted and then starts doing what she wants to
Yeah,
do.
that would have made
That
more
would have
sense to
been
me,
a lot
but the
better.
movie set it up where she was already on some bullshit
She
from the
was already
beginning.
fucking evil and ready to kill
And
everyone,
I
and I'm
think that
just
they
like,
did that for
where's the jump?
they did
Where was
that
the
for a
jump?
plot twist. They did all of this for a fucking plot twist that had
But
no
it
payoff.
was bad.
It
It
had
was a
no
bad
it had
twist.
no payoff whatsoever. They did this huge plot twist, was like, oh, Wanda's actually going to be the main villain. Because when I was watching it, I said, wait a second, what the fuck is happening? Is Wanda the villain? Like, she's the main villain. Like, it came out of nowhere. People in the movie theater looking around and shit. I'm looking at the guy sitting next to me, my friend Garen, and we're like, I didn't see this coming, and that doesn't make it good either. Like, you got me. I did not see Wanda being the main villain of this movie at all. I did not see that coming.
It's
But
so starkly
it
black and
it
white.
doesn't make
Like,
it good. It just does not make it good that you made her the villain and you hit it so well. Like, oh, we're just gonna have her snap, be the villain. Like Daenerys Targaryen, snap, you're killing kids now. Like,
yeah,
what the fuck?
that is honestly what it felt like.
It's
Because
like, snap, you're killing kids.
The thing with WandaVision is like, it was all this setup. She went through this entire character arc, and even though what she did was terrible, like the perspective, like it gave you enough perspective to be like, well, she what she did was wrong, but right? And like you were able to kind of like see the gray area in it, and that's why
Yeah, they
that's
did
why the
that.
show was
They
well
did that
done.
one episode with the
It just didn't
flashback.
really have any gray area.
No, it just
Like,
The thing
went.
about WandaVision though is that once again, it's what she did was wrong, but it's not even like what she did was wrong on purpose. WandaVision, the other thing it does is it shows us that she's extremely emotionally unstable. So that's
yeah,
why I think going into this movie, it still makes sense for her because she may be the strongest witch or whatever in the universe. She may have like the strongest magic in the universe, but that doesn't mean she's the most intelligent. Nobody ever argued that Wanda was a super intelligent person,
Yeah, but
right?
you don't have to
She's
be
very
super intelligent
emotionally.
to do something you've already done. Like, I just think that it's ridiculous to keep
Yeah,
discounting this
but
point that she could just create these kids again. I'm not going to let that go. I'm not.
yeah, I mean, she could, but
She could
she
literally create them again. The movie's bad.
yeah, but
The
she
entire
could
premise of the
also
movie
want.
is bad. The entire premise. She could create the kids again instead of killing a bunch of people and trying to kill another Wanda and steal her children. Period.
she could have also just like got orphaned versions of her kid in some universe.
There's so
And,
many better. Do you know how many different things that she could have done that would have been infinitely better than what we had to watch?
but this is a movie,
Well, wait,
and
but she
go
was
ahead. Go ahead.
trying to do those things. Like the whole point was she was trying to get the power to travel between the multiverse, right?
I know.
And then she would,
To steal
find
someone
whatever
else's
kid.
kids. They even asked her,
Yeah,
Wanda, what's going to happen to the Wanda in the universe that has her children? Like, she didn't say
I
anything.
understand.
She didn't even have an
Yeah,
answer for the movie. Didn't even have an answer
because
for itself.
she knows what she's doing is wrong, but she still wants it's still something she wants to do because she wants to find either real quick kids or whatever. But I think that it makes sense because she's dealing with grief because she wants to try to have something that's real, and then you can see through the movie as people try to explain things to her, and she starts to like unravel, and she realizes like what she's doing is wrong, but she's still kind of single-minded and going forward with doing it. I don't think, just to be clear, I don't think this is a 10 out of 10 movie, but I do understand sort of what they were trying to go with Wanda's character and sort of the grief and the mental
I
instability
just
of
wish.
what her goals were.
What is grief if not love persevering? Which, first of all, great writing. It really, like, having watched WandaVision after watching that movie, that show was really well done, and this movie
Yes.
was so poorly
WandaVision
done.
was really well
Like,
done. You know what really did it for WandaVision? There was the flashback where they showed like Vision dying and like how she created Vision and everything like that, and how the whole Westview came to be. That episode where they spent time to develop like what happened, where she went into the house that they were supposed to have together, and then she just bursted out all that energy and then started to do the whole domain expansion thing. That entire like backstory of how they used to be in love together, and you saw, and also we got to see this through several Marvel movies of like their relationship and how it developed, and her taking control of this town and basically convincing herself that like, yo, this is my world and nothing can go wrong here. This is like a black and white world where everything is based off of my childhood. I Love Lucy and like all the little sitcoms that she used to watch. But
in Modern Family.
yeah, it was like really, really well done in terms of developing her character. This movie just starts off at 100 and it's like, whoa, you just said that Westview was like, you're sorry about that, and now you're like, actually, I'm the one who's trying to kill this little girl, and I'm going to do it to take her power and go to another universe and steal these kids. And it's like, wait, how did?
Well, see, because okay, so it's a movie based on a comic book, right? However, both films and comic books are written to have like a purpose, like a theme, a moral, a message, whatever. So even outside of WandaVision, if I were to stop harping on WandaVision, outside of WandaVision, I don't understand what the purpose of this movie was. Like, what was it trying to say? What was it trying to say about Wanda and this character arc? Because the thing is like, she's already gone through this arc. So why are we going through this arc again? It's not that she can't go through the arc again. It's possible to have a character go through a similar arc, but there has to be a reason why, and there has to be like a reason why they're going through it again, and how, and like it still be relevant to them having gone through it before. Because if you don't do that, then it cheapens the character, because you're like, they're doing the same thing that they've already done, and like they didn't learn from it, and you're not acknowledging it. And it's even weirder because she does acknowledge Westview, but then like her character doesn't acknowledge Westview in her actions through
She
the
does
movie.
something worse than Westview immediately after. I was like, what the
And
hell?
it's like, okay, so if Wanda's going to go full supervillain, like why? Give me the why. I don't care that she does it. She can do whatever she
And
wants.
the
But
Wanda's
like,
like, I'm
make
a
the
mom. I just want
reasoning.
my kids back. It's like,
And it was,
whoa,
but you
wait
know,
a
this all
second.
kind of boils down to, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but Sam Raimi did not watch WandaVision.
Oh shit.
Yeah, he admitted that he did not watch WandaVision. So the moment I found that out, I was like, yeah, it's pretty
But-
fucking obvious because you
But
like you threw away.
Was Sam Raimi the scriptwriter? He was the director, but I don't know
He
if he
was
wrote
he was the
script.
director, but the director has a lot to say in like what direction the movie goes in. You know, the
Yeah.
scriptwriters and all that put like their vision together, but it's the director's vision ultimately.
Yeah, I just
Mhm.
I don't want to put without knowing who wrote the actual script. I don't know how much weight I can put into that though.
Well, the director has, I mean, yeah, the director has influence on the script, though. That is a fact in every movie ever made. The director
Yeah, I mean,
has,
they have to. It's their vision. Like
Yeah,
it's the director's vision.
yeah.
There, you know, it has to go in the way
So yeah, you
the
could be
way they
handed a
want
weak, you could be handed a weak script, but like as a director, you're like, okay, well, this, like, scrap this. Like this does not seem sensible. But if you get a script that's following something, a very important event, mind you, that you do not know about, that seems, or you got it summarized, because I'm assuming, okay, he didn't see WandaVision. That's one thing. I just hope to God that someone at least summarized, like, here's what happened, right?
Yeah. I mean,
because then
they,
like
they drop enough like hints in
Yeah.
there that like that they're at least acknowledging WandaVision.
Yes, because
But-
then it's like, okay, well, what are we talking about here? Like, if that's like saying, all right, well, me and Kenny are going to, the IMNerd podcast is about to direct Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Like, what the fuck?
Hey, we did the Batman episode. I didn't have to watch it. I still knew everything.
See, yeah, we summarized it for you, but
I didn't
imagine
need.
having,
It's a Batman movie.
imagine having to
I
direct it.
read about the book. Like, you don't have to
Listen, man.
read a book to read the book. You
In
know,
all seriousness,
Right.
with Batman, you really could direct a new Batman movie pretty easily, right? Like, you know
It's
enough
Batman.
about Batman. It's like, but with Doctor Strange, Scarlet Witch, like, these characters are not as fleshed out as Batman, Superman, and Spider-Man are. And I think that, okay, so Anthony brought up an interesting question earlier. He said, like, what is the point of this movie? And I was wondering the same thing, because at the end of it, they just kind of kill her, right? Like, she kills herself, I should say. And
Yeah, she's not dead though. She's going to be
yeah.
back.
I mean,
Oh,
she's a Nexus being, so
I think
she's-
that that Wanda is actually dead, though. I think that only because they've been killing characters in Marvel these last couple of movies, just kind of like, I think to
which movies though? Which movies and
So-
which characters?
I
Are
think
you
to like move on. I mean, look at what,
What do-
like,
but-
Scarlett Johansson is blatantly gone forever. Like, she's never
Okay,
coming
okay.
back.
But here's the thing, right?
She's
Like,
a pretty.
okay,
Also,
they-
Captain America is also gone. Tony Stark is
But-
also gone. Like, you want me to keep going? Like,
But
these
you
characters
have
are dead.
to. But here's the thing: with
But
those
then-
characters, they had
They're
their
dead.
time in the spotlight. They had their time in the spotlight. They had multiple character arcs. They've been through shit, and it was like we're passing the torch.
Okay.
If that was the case, then why did they make WandaVision? If they were going to kill her, then why did they
Well,
make the show? Like, why was that
That's-
show
So
written?
you know, I'm
and
agreeing
why
with
was
you,
she
though, right?
developed?
You know that
Yeah,
my
no,
entire premise was,
I know.
my entire premise was they killed her at the end, which I am confused about, because I couldn't believe. I was like, well, shit, she's just dead now. Like, and I thought too, I was like, well, there's no atoning for what she did, right? Like, after she killed when she wiped out the people in the sacred temple, like, she wiped them out. The one guy was on the ground. The one guy was on the ground. Remember when after she landed?
Hermitage or whatever.
Yeah,
it's called?
and she disintegrated him.
Wait, what did you think he was saying?
I thought he was talking about when she went to Universe 727.
No. I'm talking about when she was in the regular Marvel universe. She went to whatever that place called. I just call it the Sacred Temple. She went there, and she started killing people, right? But then she landed, and a guy was like crawling away. And then she did some kind of red blast that it looked cool. It looked cool as shit. Like, she disintegrated this man with energy. And I said, oh shit, they wanted to bring it home that, like, she's killing these people. They're not just getting hurt. She's fucking killing them. And
I mean, this is, funnily enough, aside from whether or not we like or don't like the script, I think there was a lot, like, the movie looked cool. Like, I remember I was thinking, I remember thinking, like, in terms of what she's doing,
Yes.
this is the Scarlet Witch Fraser was talking about when we did the
Yes.
podcast on the WandaVision.
Yo.
Because, like, in terms of what she's doing, she's cracked the fuck out.
Oh yeah, the movie was visually stunning.
Yes.
It was visually
we can
stunning.
all appreciate like the actual visuals on what she was doing. The part where the one guy, his mind was weak, I'm gonna say, and she just like came behind him and said, "Run." I thought that part was so fire. Like that was just so, because I like Genjutsu. I like all of that type of illusion magic type of nonsense. So when I saw that, I said, "Oh, this bitch is on some shit tonight. Like she's on some shit."
Those are the parts of the movie where like I was like, there's what I like about Sam Raimi's directing style.
That
like,
was cool.
Took that, translated it to this. He took what he was good at, translated it to this, and that's what that's the result.
But
the rest of the movie, or just the heart of the movie,
as she was doing that, all I kept thinking to myself was, but why? Like as I was enjoying her doing everything she was doing, I was like, yo, this seems a bit much. Like how quickly she said, like, hand the girl over by sundown, and then the next scene was like, well, we're preparing to fight against the Scarlet Witch. And it was just, everything was just so quick. It just reminded me of the pacing of Game of Thrones season 8. It reminded me of that exact pace. There was no, like,
honestly, the movie reminds me of, since you're bringing up Game of Thrones, it reminds me of the scene where Cersei blows up the Sept. It was like, it is my favorite scene in the show. Visually, it is like, just everything that happens. It's dope as fuck. It is a great scene from beginning to end. And yet at the end, I was like, that was bad. I was like, that was terrible for the plot. I was like, that makes no sense. And I was like, she's gonna get away with this? And I was like, there's no way she's gonna get away with it.
And she got away with it.
She just kind of got away with it, and no one said anything. And I was just like, there was no repercussion.
And I think that
that's kind of how I felt about the movie.
The way they dealt with Scarlet Witch was at the end of it, just like Cersei, she dies on top, like a pile of rocks fall on top of her body.
It's like dusting of pebbles.
Yeah, well, when you don't know what to do with the character, you just kill them with a pile of rubble, I guess. Like that's the typical thing to do when you, because she did something you can't atone for. Like after Scarlet Witch started killing people in multiple universes and including her own, I realized that there's nothing she's going to do at the end of this. There's no more like, oh, I'm sorry about what happened in Westview. There's none of that.
Yeah.
Like
she's not an Avenger anymore.
Yeah, like all of that lunchbox talk he was saying, that's dead. Like everything's dead. Like I guess they only could have killed her after what she did. Because what's the other option?
Shame, because she did have she had an excellent, like very kind of relatable character arc.
Yeah, she started off evil
through WandaVision, because like, and even
you go all back to Age of Ultron.
I forgot what her first name is, but the black girl, Rambo, she like even says at the end, she's like, I can't say that if I had your power that I wouldn't do the same thing to see my mom. Right. And that does make her relatable, because everyone's lost someone.
I said the same thing in the WandaVision podcast. I said, I don't know that I would not use my power to bring my loved ones back and see them again if I could do something like that. That is a very broken ability to have, that you can do like these, even if it's what do you call a hex? Even if it's not real, like I can't say that I wouldn't do it, because I mean the whole Westview thing was a hex. It wasn't like, none of it was real. But it's like I can't say that I would not do what she make that second vision and everything.
And so to go through that and then just kind of go balls to the wall villain with no explanation just felt dirty. I felt really like, it felt kind of icky, because I'm just like, I really enjoyed WandaVision. And the thing is this is supposed to be like every piece of medium is supposed to be a standalone. It's supposed to stand on its own. However, all of these things are linked. So like
they are blatantly.
And the thing is that I can think of examples where like someone approaches like their redemption, the end of their redemption arc, and then they're like nah. But there's like a good setup for it. Like if you think back to what is it, Civil War, right? They set it up for Tony Stark to be angry at Bucky, right? Because Bucky killed his parents.
Yep.
They show you Tony Stark's perspective. They show you Bucky's perspective. By the end, you feel like, it's justifiable. Not justifiable, but like I understand what happened. It wasn't Bucky's fault, and Tony should forgive him. And it's approaching that point where you're like, Tony's gonna forgive him, and Tony's like, nah, he killed my mom, and he fights them,
Aaron
right?
Yeager.
And I thought that was great, because like because they set it up. They set it up to be like, here's the rationale behind what happened and why it happened, but here's also this character and their perspective
and a human reaction too, right? Like that's a very human thing. Like you killed my mom, and I get that. You might have an excuse for why you did it. You might even have a good excuse for why you did it. That doesn't escape the fact that you did do it though. And I am emotional, and I want to do something about it.
And it felt real, and it didn't feel cheap. This felt cheap because there was no explanation as to like why she was the way that she was. It was just like, I'm evil now. And the entire movie I was expecting for it to be like, well, at what point was Wanda like, no, you killed my mom? There was no point like that. That never happened. It was just that she was evil the entire time. And
the reason they gave us was that she wanted her kids back. They kept saying it over and over, like, I'm a mom now. That's what all moms do. They all use magic to create these beings. Like, he's like, your kids aren't real, Wanda. Like, they're not a thing. But I really wish that he would have said, Wanda, your kids were created from magic. Use your magic to do it again. Like,
if that was the case, then like what? Like, you have to then acknowledge that she wanted the same thing in a different and at a different point in time that was resolved. And so now the resolution doesn't matter, because like, while that's something that might happen in real life, in a story, you have to give it purpose. A story, there has to be a purpose behind it or it's bad. So like, if you don't acknowledge the resolution that she already came to for the same similar character arc, then people are going to be like, but wait, she already did this. And that's what a lot of people are saying.
She lost Vision.
She already did this.
She did one thing. She lost her kids. Now she's doing the more extreme thing. It's like, okay, so you're going to keep doing the same thing over and over again, and it's going to get more out of hand each time.
Right.
And now she's just dead.
So then what is the purpose of your character then?
Yeah, her character, it was kind of just doomed for failure, essentially. Like, at the end of the day, everything that's happened with this character has just been burned. Like, she's just done. Like, that's the end of her. Like, her arc is that she killed a bunch of people and died. She had to kill herself, too. Like, no one even stopped her or beat her. She just literally was like, you know what?
That's such a shame, because Wanda's like a good character throughout the comics. Everyone that reads Marvel comics that I know tells me, like, Wanda's one of their favorite characters. And having seen WandaVision, I was like, okay, I understand why. This is like really good, and it's very relatable, and it's like it's
I'll play devil's advocate a little bit. I'm not gonna act like in the comics she ain't a little off too, though, because she's done. Yeah, she's done some. She's done some very fucked up things in the comics too. I always think about No More Mutants. Like she's had her moments where the things she has done have been atrocities. If you want to.
Those complex characters are why we love them, right? Like,
yeah.
People love Magneto. People love Magneto. Magneto's a bastard, but people love him.
I just can't relate to her reasoning is the problem. That's like, at the end of the day, in this Doctor Strange movie, I simply cannot relate. I can relate to why Tony Stark would be mad at Bucky. I can relate to like a lot of things that happen when you can
relate to Thanos being like, I'm gonna wipe out half of the universe. Awful thing, but you're like, he's got a point. And you can relate to Killmonger. I was like, damn, he's crazy, but he ain't wrong. But he's crazy though.
Yes. Well, Wanda, because they made her have these ridiculous abilities, I think my issue is like her power is so extremely outrageous. It is so ridiculous things that she can do that I'm like, well, there are other solutions. And it's kind of an issue I had with I had an issue with Thanos, and I always say this, and this has been on the internet a lot. It's like, well, why didn't he make more resources? Like, you're going to kill half of all living creatures. It's like, you have the ability to create more resources for everyone.
But then wouldn't the argument be that that's just postponing the inevitable? Because like, you can create more resources, but then that'll just in turn create more
and I will turn your argument on you and say the same is true if you cut it in half. It will eventually get back to the same state. Because I thought about that too. Like, if you do cut it in half, eventually, right? That's true. Things will just keep reproducing, and we will get to the same point. So I was like, "There's no actual solution to this." Like it's kind of like a moment. It's like in Final Fantasy X, the calm. Like, you deal with sin, and then you get what, 10 years a piece? Is it? I forget how many years.
Yeah,
it's 10.
You get 10 years a piece, and it's like, okay, but the issue, the core of the problem didn't go away. And so it's like, yeah, I don't know how much sense this makes. Like, yeah, you're going to solve the problem for probably a very long time. If I'm being like Thanos, what he was trying to do, I get it. Like, it was going to solve the problem for probably until the Earth's end when the sun explodes and everything goes away. But it doesn't act like, if let's say that the sun doesn't kill everybody eventually, like, yeah, the problem will just happen again.
Yeah, we talked about this when we did the Infinity War episode. Yeah, my take on it is just that I think one, it's like the people that are left, are taught a lesson in quotes.
Now he did say that.
Like the people that are left are taught a lesson, but I also think the other thing is that he's been so burned and so scorned that he feels as though the people that are here, like I think it's that they need to be taught a lesson, and that he believes that they should be taught a lesson because of like what, like they've already made these decisions to come to like this
because they deserve it.
Yeah, because they deserve it. We're at this problem, so they need to learn from their mistakes. Whereas if I just like give them more resources, they'll never learn.
Yeah, and that is also true too. If you just give people, like if you just gave me double of everything I have right now, I'll just be an awful person. Like that would be ridiculous.
Just be an awful person.
I don't know what else to say. Like I'll just be an awful person. You just double everything you just give me double with no work. Like, it's very hard for people to not be corrupted by having free resources like that. Like I just have free resources. Like it corrupts you. It just fucking corrupts you. So,
but yeah, it's interesting. On the note of Wanda, I think something that's interesting, like what Ant was saying, where Tony and Bucky, with Wanda, she herself doesn't really have an adversary. All of the people that caused her problems are gone. Thanos is gone. Ultron is gone. All the people that other than herself, because at this point, the only problem that she's left to deal with is the problem that she essentially sort of created for, like she created her own children during like her madness and her lapse of consciousness or whatever.
Right.
And then she took them away. So like she doesn't have an adversary necessarily. She doesn't have a person to blame. And so she's dealing with a lot of different problems internally. And I think that she's just not necessarily making the smartest and best decisions about going about doing it, but right after Westview, she just went into learning more about magic and being connected to the Darkhold. So it's not too much of a stretch for me to believe that, like, obviously you go from grief to attaining so much more power that you're not necessarily going to make the best decisions along the way.
Yeah.
Right, but show me that. They didn't show that. It was just, here's Wanda, introduction to the Darkhold, she's evil now. And I was like, where's the journey? There was no journey to her being a villain. Wanda's a villain now.
Kenny, I just have a hard time accepting her being a mass murderer so quick. That shit happened way too fast.
Well, and so for context, I enjoyed the movie. I don't think it's a great movie.
Yeah,
but I
you
did
said
like
that.
Movie.
And if you like the movie, first, I want to say this real quick before you continue. For people who enjoyed or like this movie or think this is a good movie, that is fine. This is all subjective.
But I think it's a good movie.
This is fine. You are incorrect, and I'm kidding. I'm joking.
I think it's a good movie. It has its flaws, and so to your point, I agree that like it starts quick. So I'll say it's a similar problem to like Demon Slayer and like pacing. And Demon Slayer, I'm supposed to believe that like between this episode and the next episode, Tanjiro is this much stronger. And it showed to me by the fact that Tanjiro goes on a 4-month training arc, but the way it happens, it's like sometimes you forget that it wasn't yesterday. Yeah. Like I guess 4 months did pass.
And you said this in the Demon Slayer episodes and everything, like they kind of just happens too fast, even though they say 4 months pass, and they don't do the same thing with Doctor Strange. They just kind of say, "Hey."
So that's the thing with the Doctor Strange. I think a lot of time has passed since WandaVision, because the way they hint to it, it seems like a lot of time has passed. And so what I'm saying is that I think essentially what they're saying,
define a lot of time. Like how much time? Because you know
how many. Yeah, go ahead.
And also, how long is time when you are a witch?
I was going to say, so define time only because they reference No Way Home in this movie at the cafe when he's talking to America Chavez about Spider-Man. So they reference No Way Home was a very recent thing to Doctor Strange. And I want to say like WandaVision could have been coinciding or happening around the same time, if not a little before it. So I don't know the exact amount of time we're talking about here. I don't think a year has passed though.
So that's the kind of the point that I'm getting to, is that to the movie's I guess, credit in quotes, but also to its detriment in terms of the pacing, is that I think the way they set it up is they want us to believe or understand that time has passed since the events of Westview, and that some amount of time, because America has been running from whoever this is before she knew it was Wanda. America's been running from this person for some amount of time. Wanda's done this over and over again at this point. And then before she'd done that, she had been studying magic. So they kind of want us to believe that an amount of time has passed. And so the journey for her, like becoming full, what she is now, happened in that lapse of time.
I do wish this movie would have benefited a lot.
They don't show it.
Yes, this movie would have benefited a lot.
That's the problem.
Yeah. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, so to the credit of both of your point is that they didn't necessarily, they did, in my opinion, sort of the Demon Slayer problem, where it's like they just want you to accept that time has passed and like these characters did things, but they don't ever necessarily make it super clear, and it feels like it was yesterday, even though it might have been 4 months or 6 months or 8 months or whatever the time frame is.
All
and
right.
It's not really.
Give me a second.
That, boys and girls, is bad storytelling.
Give me a second. I want to jump over to America real quick because I thought that it was so comically funny how her powers first activated, and the entire premise of it was a bee showed up in front of her face, and she killed her parents immediately. Like a fucking bee shows up in front of this little girl's face.
She got scared,
and her lesbian parents got. They got sucked into a fucking portal that they've never been seen again. And there's like
it was a horror movie. All right, it was a horror movie.
That shit was so funny to me. I was sitting in my chair like, wait a second. You want me to understand that the whole reason why this little girl is sad is because she sneezed her fucking parents away by accident over a bee. Like a bee showed up and her parents got destroyed.
Got scared.
Oh, that was so.
Her
that
powers
was so,
only activate in fear.
That was so bad. I was like, come on, guys. A fucking bee showed up and she just like, yep, parents dead. I was like, get the fuck out of here.
It's kind of what I mean. The effort in this movie wasn't there. The movie didn't feel like it had any.
Bro, you mean to tell me that girl never been scared before in her entire life up until that moment?
Her trauma was a bee. There just wasn't like
her trauma
effort.
was a
her
bee.
Her trauma was not a bee.
Her trauma was a bee,
No,
my guy.
No, it was not.
Like, it wasn't like, oh, my whole planet's been, taken over by this intergalactic guy that wants to
killed her parents.
I've never heard of.
The ominous bee.
A bee. Oh. Bees are supposed to save the world. Not
her trauma was that she killed her parents.
Her trauma. It was started. How did that start? How did it start?
She was a child and got scared.
Having to answer that question is so fun.
What'd she get scared by, Kenny? What'd she get scared by?
She got scared from a bee.
This is fun.
Exactly. So her trauma.
This is cursed.
But her trauma's not a bee. Hold on.
Cursed.
I'm not gonna let the two of you act like you've never gone like when a fucking bee flew.
If a cockroach flies by me, I'll freak the fuck out.
I know damn sure y'all have white girl jumped on a fucking chair when a bee was around. Don't you fucking give me this shit.
If I see any insect,
I would have accepted it if at some point during the movie a bee showed up and she jumped them to another universe. I'd be like, okay, she is scared to be like the trauma is.
She was a child though. Children are scared of bees, and adults are scared of bees.
You just said they were scared of bees. So it would have been tongue in cheek, kind of funny, like a callback, like okay, but also would have solidified her character because America was also not really a character in this movie because, like I said, this movie didn't have a lot of thought and a lot of heart put into it. I saw like there's
I can't agree with that. Not a lot of heart. There was a lot of heart put into the movie. Whether or not you like the writing, I feel like there was a lot of heart put into the movie.
I disagree 100%. So there's a YouTube video, right?
Okay.
Someone, if you line up the final episode of WandaVision and the final episode of Loki, they are happening concurrently.
Oh wow.
Okay.
And
how do you remember how they confirmed that?
So when the Watcher is like, yeah, something's changing. I knew it was gonna happen until like 5, 6, 7, 6 seconds ago. That was the last thing I knew. At the same timestamp in WandaVision, Wanda is becoming the Scarlet Witch.
Oh, that's cool.
Because Wanda is a Nexus being, and so because she has all that power, her power is felt throughout the multiverse. So him not knowing what was going to happen and all of the timelines diverging was because Wanda, aside from everything that was happening in Loki, but was also because Wanda was becoming the Scarlet Witch.
Look at how powerful this character is.
And that is people putting thought and hard work and heart into their shit. Because no one would have known that. It's only like the hardcore fans that are like, I wonder if, and then they line shit up and then they're like, whoa, that's crazy. This movie, like I said, it felt like what it was. It felt like Sam Raimi wanted to make a horror film in in a superhero movie, and it just kind of feels cheaply like that. Like,
Yeah, I
Yeah, Kenny, I know you wanted to
I
say.
enjoyed the wait, what'd you say? I'm
I was gonna say,
sorry.
yo, go ahead, Kenny. I know you had a point to make about.
Oh, I was gonna say in terms of like the horror movie thing, in terms of it, because I think this movie, first of all, had like pretty excellent. We already talked about the effects. I think the camera work was really well done. There was a lot of interesting things done in the movie, and I thought the horror movie aspect. Granted, I wasn't like scared, and I don't get scared at horror. I don't really like most horror movies. But
I
I
love
like
horror movies, for the record.
I do
I'm a
too.
horror junkie.
I do too, but I won't let that. I won't really let that impact how I feel about this. I thought it was weird that they went
yeah.
this direction, but then I understood who the director was, and I was like, okay, but go ahead.
So I thought it was interesting because in the Marvel universe we have a lot of different movies, like how Winter Soldier is basically a spy movie, whatever.
Yeah.
So I thought it was interesting that they did like another genre that they tried to do like a horror movie type feel for this movie, and I enjoyed the fact that it had like those horror movie elements without actually trying to be really scary. Because like the movie's not scary, but it has like those horror movie shots and the
Yeah.
way
Got
that
a horror movie
she's
vibe.
she's like walking through like the Grudge. She's like
Yeah, when
got the
she
fucking
first came out of the reflection, right, and her bones were all twisted up real bad, and then she
yeah,
twisted it
yeah,
all
yeah.
back. I was like,
Like I thought that
as
was
cool
really really cool.
as cool as that was, I was also just kind of like, but why? But why? Like, what is the purpose aside from it being superficial? You know?
Well,
But go ahead.
well, the purpose would be, and granted, and this is where everybody has their own buy-in. You didn't buy into her motivations from the start, so it's hard for you to get behind the purpose, and that's completely fair. But if you did buy into the motivations, and were going for the ride, then you would, because like what Fraser said, when Fraser was like, "Dude, that fucking scene was really cool," but the whole time I was asking myself, "How the fuck did we get here?" So if you didn't have the initial buy-in, then it makes sense that it would be harder to enjoy some of the other aspects.
Yeah, like don't get me wrong, it's not lost on me that her kids are gone. I get that, but like her kids are gone because she decided to cancel them.
Yeah, yeah.
Like like she, like I want people to acknowledge the fact that Wanda she's the reason for all her problems. Like all her problems.
Yeah, for sure.
Like Wanda, it's all you. Like you are the issue here, and that's what she realized at the end. She took herself out because she realized she was the problem.
But I think that goes into why she's being so unreasonable and irrational, and she's doing completely outrageous things. And that's why, like throughout the movie, like you said, like Doctor Strange is like, they're not real. Like relax.
Because everyone else is looking at it like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why are we having this discussion at all?
Yeah.
Like you're talking about killing children. He even said, like, Wanda, killing children is where we draw the line. Like, what the fuck? Like and don't get, like, I get it. I'm like, Doctor Strange is basically me. Except I would have just said, like, right? Because doesn't he ask her several times, like, Wanda, this is crazy. Like, what are you doing? He has, and he seems genuinely disturbed by it. Like all that talk about lunchboxes is out the window now, Wanda. Like, what the fuck? Like, you can't just go killing kids. But so I get that they have a character who's reasonable, like Doctor Strange, and then they have a character who's completely unreasonable, like Wanda, Scarlet Witch, and she's possessed by the Darkhold, so she's not all of herself. But at the same time, I'm like, I wish that they just showed more of a transition into a descent into madness where you start killing children and people like that. It needs a little bit more than like a scene where her floating in the air with a book. Like it just needs a little bit more than just the last time I saw Wanda, she was literally floating in the air after trying to atone for what she did in Westview. Like that was the last time I saw her. The next time I see her, she's trying to kill a child. I'm like, what the fuck?
And the thing is they had to set up because like she resolved her feelings and then she got taken by something that has dark ambitions that she has no idea about. She could have totally regressed. But like,
where did she get the Darkhold from, by the way? Do we know?
She stole it from Agatha.
Okay.
But like you gotta you gotta give me how that happens. You can't just be like, okay, well, she got this dark book and it made her bad, and it's like, okay, but like, what the
Like
fuck happened?
instantly, like I wish
Because
that she was on a mission, like you said, with Doctor Strange or something, and she started to slowly, like for example, they fight an
yeah,
enemy.
the movie could have totally done that. That's the purpose of that's the purpose of a movie.
I,
Is to like push you
slowly,
through these
yeah.
arcs.
I wish that there was a fight that they got into together as like, you know, the old Avengers or whatever. And in the fight, let's say there's a human being who's like evil, somebody robbing something or doing something menial, and she goes to kill the person, and Doctor Strange stops it. Like he cancels her magic with his magic. He does some kind of spell, and he's like, Wanda, what the fuck? And she's like, she says something crazy to him. He's like, yo, like, relax. Like, relax. Like, that was a bit much for this is a person. Like, yeah, he did something wrong, but like, you were about that spell you cast was about to kill this man. And then it starts to
That could bring her back. That could bring her back for the moment, right? But then like you see like in that moment, like, oh shit, she's like getting corrupted.
Yeah, you're like, what
And you're
the
like,
fuck?
what is that? Why is she? And you're just like, this doesn't make any sense because she's already been through this. So like, why is she like reverting? And then it's like the reveal, oh, it's the Darkhold. It's the Darkhold, it's dark ambitions, she's regressed. Like that would be a lot more acceptable. I don't think it would be great, but that would be a lot more acceptable than what they did. She was the villain at like 20 minutes in.
Yes.
And I was just like, what the
Wanda
fuck?
was fully killing people at 20 minutes. And I just was like,
I was legitimately when she like did the reveal and was like, and Doctor Strange was like, this place isn't real or whatever.
yeah.
And then she like revealed, I was like, wait, huh?
She said
I was
lying
like,
was
what?
easy, the hex not so much. Or she said
I was like,
the hex was easy, lying not so
Lying
much.
not so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just like, wait, what? Like, what's going? What? I was like really confused.
Yeah, as
And
she
then
wiped the world, I said, this looks really cool. Like the genjutsu aspect of it, amazing. Whoever did that, amazing job. It looked really cool to see the desolate wasteland that she created. But I don't know.
the conversation took like a complete left turn and not in a good way. And
it had a
then
lot
like
of people confused because they're having this normal conversation. You saw this conversation in the trailer. You do this, you call the hero. I do it. I'm called the villain. That doesn't seem fair. And then next thing you know, she mentions America Chavez by name, and he's like, "Yo, I didn't tell you her name." And then immediately after that, transform the whole world. Bring me her by midnight, or else everybody needs to die. I was like, "Whoa, whoa."
yo, what could have
I
been
do like
devious?
to the credit of the people that made the trailer. I do like the fact that they made everybody think that the other Doctor Strange was the villain of the movie.
Yes,
Because when you go into the movie, like I went into the movie assuming I thought the Doctor Strange from What If was going to be the villain for this movie. 'Cause that's what
basically
it
same.
seemed like.
Basically
You
same.
thought like I thought that the movie was going to be about Doctor Strange, and yet here we
Yes.
are an hour in, and we're still
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
about
yeah.
Wanda.
No, but-
because that's what the movie was about.
I do. So, just I guess to their credit, I enjoyed the fact that when they showed that Wanda was the villain, I was like, "Oh shit, they got me."
Anthony ate that up. Yeah,
was with
we
it.
are an hour in.
I
and
was with it.
It has been the
right.
Wanda Scarlet Witch
Real
show.
quick,
I do want to talk about
won't-
other stuff too. Yeah,
yeah. We, the script is what it is. Let's talk more about some of the other aspects of the movie.
All right, we can start anywhere. Like, there's so many things because there a lot did
All
happen.
right, let's talk
Okay.
about the Illuminati.
I will-
Ant didn't want to talk about the
Oh,
Illuminati.
okay,
So
fine.
let's talk about the Illuminati.
Okay, that was
Because
that
I
was
need to know
fans-
the Illuminati was sick as fuck. What's wrong
Okay.
with
Well,
it?
I thought
It
so.
was fan service in the wrong way. It was
All right.
it was pandering
see.
fan service, poorly done. And it was at that moment, that I realized I was
Fire
like,
Nation attack.
oh shit, this is a horror movie. Like it's not a superhero film. Like I'm fine with them getting a horror director to give it horror vibes.
Yeah.
To make the vibe of the movie, to make like the ambience of the movie horror. I'm fine with that. But then it started getting formatted like a horror movie. And it was at the point that she killed Black Adam and then Reed Richards
Black
and
Bolt.
then
Not
Black
Black
Black Bolt.
Black
sorry.
Adam's DC.
Black Bolt, then Reed Richards, and then Captain Carter kept fighting her. I was like, oh, they're all gonna die because this is a horror film.
You realized that immediately after this. Me too. So the second person died. I said, "Oh, she's gonna kill everybody."
You know what it felt like? Remember that movie with LL Cool J and the Sharks?
Yes.
Was it Deep Blue Sea?
Deep
That's what
Blue
it felt like. That. No, that's what like flashed in my head because I was like, I was like, oh shit, this is a horror movie that's acting like it's not a horror movie.
I did not wake up today thinking we were going to mention LL fucking Cool J and the Sharks.
That we were going to get here either, but I get what you mean. Like,
not what I woke up today thinking.
Because if you just watch that movie, if you just watch Deep Blue Sea, you don't particularly think it's going to be a horror film, but it is a horror film. It is formatted like a horror film.
Formatted. These jump scare sharks are killing people essentially,
and everyone dies except for like the two final people. Yeah. And that's exactly what that part of the movie was. It was a horror film inside of this already hobbled together film.
So what did you not like about it?
I didn't. Okay, well, there are several things that I didn't like about it. I didn't like that it was okay when you watch a horror film and like people die. You expect that in that format because it's a horror film and it's just kind of like accepted that that's what's going to happen, right? This, however, is not a horror film. So like having the format of having these characters...
It's not a horror franchise. It was a horror film. It was a horror film. It's not in a horror franchise.
I'll tell you,
but like it shouldn't have been a horror. It shouldn't have been formatted like a horror film. Having elements of horror is fine, but like it was formatted like a horror film, and all those characters were throwaway characters, and it felt cheap.
So that's what I want to allude to.
Especially when she killed Professor X. When she killed Professor X, I kind of threw my hands up like, what the fuck? And it's not that Wanda can't kill Professor X because she can. And it's not that Wanda can't even kill Professor X like in his mind because she probably could. It's just the way that it happened. I was just like, was that even Professor X? No one even tried. Like, Captain Carter had a solid 4 seconds. I counted. She had a solid 4 seconds after she threw that shield. If that were Captain America, that would have never happened. And the thing is like, they felt like they were expendable characters, but these characters aren't expendable characters is the thing.
So I have a problem with that. Cheap. I have a problem with the fact that they introduced these cool ass characters like the Illuminati. I actually genuinely liked the entire part where he walks into the room handcuffed and you see them up there in the silhouettes. You can't even see who they are at the time. Yeah. And you see them and then they kind of go past them one by one. When I saw Black Bolt, I said, oh my Kenny, I got so fucking excited.
Black Bolt is no joke,
bro,
dog.
When I saw Black Bolt, because he is a fucking like S-tier Marvel power character. Like he's insane. Yeah. Like I think about War Hawk and like you owe me a scream, like all of that stuff.
They did a great job at when they did the Doctor Strange flashback when they showed like
and he just
did a great job of showing how broken Black Bolt is because he just whispered "I'm sorry" and Doctor Strange
but here is my issue. So much happened in this movie and it felt very rushed because so many things happened. The Illuminati part was like a 10-minute part of the entire movie. Honestly, that from introduction to the Illuminati, right? He walks in a room. He's handcuffed. He talks to them, and then they played a cool ass X-Men music from the '90s cartoon, and you see Professor Xavier come in. From the time that he walks into the room with the Illuminati and the time that they're all dead, it's a 10-minute span of the movie. It's such an insignificant part of the movie that it kind of just happens. It happens so quick, and I get it. You want to show how powerful Scarlet Witch is. It's the same reason they killed Jiraiya using pain. You want to show how powerful pain was, so you used a character like Jiraiya. They used Professor X, a character who we know is extremely powerful, and Black Bolt, extremely powerful, and Captain Marvel, extremely powerful, to show that Scarlet Witch is actually way stronger than all these characters. I just wish they hadn't done it so quickly. Like it was like introduction. We can handle your Scarlet Witch. She shows up. We cannot handle your Scarlet Witch. There was nothing. There was nothing. They just died. They died immediately.
And like it was so like I'm trying to like find the words for how
shock factor. It seemed like a lot of it was going for shock factor. Like a lot of it was like we're killing these people for shock factor.
And okay, here's what I guess kind of just subconsciously expected to happen as it was happening. Okay, so who's the first person she killed was Black Bolt.
Yep.
And like that was like, oh shit, that was like a surprise, kind of like an Invincible moment if you've seen the show Invincible, right?
I haven't seen Invincible yet. I've seen The Boys.
There's points where people die and you're just like, oh shit, like they died. Like they were a character, they were a named character and they died. And like those moments are good when they're well done because it really like it brings into scope like how real this world is, right? And you're like, oh shit. So like if she had killed Black Bolt, oh fuck, like a Black Bolt is like she just He's gone. And then she killed Reed Richards, and you're like, she just killed the smartest man alive, right? And then if they had regrouped, because that would have been the smart thing to do, right? They should have regrouped and been like, okay, we're gonna go to another scene now, and then we'll come back, right? And some time had passed for these heroes to actually react in the way that they would have actually reacted, because she just killed Black Bolt and fucking Reed Richards.
Yeah, which is
right?
wild.
They should have regrouped and been like, okay, how do we handle this? That would have felt realistic. But instead, they continue fighting her and they die in dumb ways. And I was just like, this is a horror movie. I was like, oh, it's a horror movie. I was like, it's a horror movie in 10 minutes, apparently. And it just felt really poor. And again, when she killed Captain Carter, 4 solid seconds. She threw the shield, and then 4 solid seconds pass between the time that Wanda catches the shield and throws it back. So I guess Captain Carter is not that good and can't do this all day, because your reaction time is fucking awful. Like, but like, it makes it feel cheap, because if Captain Carter were a main character in like a Captain Carter movie, Captain Carter would like react in a lot faster than 4 seconds, because they're a very dexterous, strong, and nimble character. But like, not here. Why? Because we're going for this shock factor of, we just killed Captain Carter. And I'm just like, that's
issue
bad.
Is right after this, they run away from her on foot, and they use storm doors to just kind of like, or blast gates or whatever. They use those to try to stop her, and she blows through all of them except the last one, and they just stop. They stop running. They just completely stop running for no reason at all. Then they turn around and they stare at the blast door and wait for her to appear. And I'm thinking to myself this whole time, she just killed Black Bolt, Professor X, Captain Marvel, the other Captain America. Like, she killed all these people, right? And she killed them so quick, 0 difficulty. But then she gets to Doctor Strange.
Blast door will stop her.
I was like, a storm door? Like, you're really going to use a fucking storm door against this character and expect it to work? And they all stopped. I just couldn't believe. I was like, why are they stop running? I get it. It's like, oh, this is a horror movie, and it's supposed to be like all scary. She's like literally coming through the hallway, hobbling around. She's hobbling on one leg, and she has blood all over her face, and it's supposed to be all dramatic, and her eyes are red. And it's like, oh man. But then you're using blast doors to stop somebody I just watched kill Black Bolt. Like,
it's because they had to shield the plot. That's what plot shielding is. It's literally like when characters do dumb shit like that. It's like when Jon Snow didn't get on the dragon, and you were like, why isn't he getting on the dragon? You're like, there has to be a reason. And then like when you see the Night King grab his icicle, his Olympic icicle, you're like, oh, the plot has been shielded. They just shielded the plot so that the Night King can kill a dragon. I understand.
Then they drown her.
What logical characters would have done would have gotten on the dragon and flown away. That's what logical characters would have done. And the thing is, it's like it's a betrayal to the characters, because you're like, these people are smart, they're not stupid, but then you make them do stupid things, and you're like, what's happening here? And like, the audience feels that, and that's why people kind of felt like this movie was off.
Doctor Strange using a blast door to try to stop Scarlet Witch after she just killed Black Bolt is insane to me. And then after that, drowning her with water, and then going into a room where he gets handed a watch and gets all this time to like talk to his significant other from another multiverse is a bit ridiculous as well, because there's no world where I believe that a deluge of water would stop her at all. Like, you can't just show me one thing and then show me another thing and say, yeah, these two things are comparable. It just doesn't make sense. The feats that she just did,
stop her, but this flood sure can.
It's like that doesn't make sense. It's like the scaling is all over the place. It's like, why did literal just water stop her, but Black Bolt and fucking Professor X and Reed Richards and Captain Marvel, they were because her and Captain Marvel had a little thing. Like, they were going back and forth a little bit, and then I guess she started to absorb Captain Marvel's power. I was like, all right.
The Captain Marvel death, I think, was the only one that was like, the Captain Marvel death's the only one that didn't make sense. In that, like, the Black Bolt death makes sense. She took his mouth away and blew his own.
It kind of makes sense. Wait. Because we're actually going to talk about
the his head up.
Okay, if we're going to talk about the logistics of this, right? The sound is coming from his throat. It would have just blasted through his skin mouth. It could have still also blasted his brain out, but it was the fact that like his face was just intact. I'm like, damn, so I guess his mouth is strong, but his skull is... I don't know, weird, but
I don't know why he
people don't know
spoke.
how the anatomy work.
I don't know why he
The
spoke after his mouth
But
was
he
closed.
was
I
shocked.
accepted
He
it. I
couldn't believe it.
accepted it.
He couldn't
I
believe his
accepted
mouth was going. But that said, turn fucking read the ribbons. The the Captain Marvel death. It was a little not because we were saying earlier how Scarlet Witch just died. Although I don't necessarily think she's dead. She died just because like rocks fell on her. They fucking killed Captain Marvel with a statue, and
Yeah,
like that's
I was
that's
told.
the that was the only one where I was like, okay,
So
well
okay,
that's
I was told that
that's not
she
real.
absorbed her powers, like she turned her back to a human.
Maybe that's what happened, and
So when
I missed it.
when I watched it the second time, I looked out for it, and you do see her absorbing blue energy. Like there is the
Okay.
part you know the part where they're both in the air doing like laser beams to each other, and they're
Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
spiraling around, like they're both like this. You actually kind of see Wanda's eyes, and you see her blue energy coming inside of Wanda's body. So like I
Okay.
think that she absorbed her power and then she killed her as a basically as a
Okay.
human. That's why she
I
just
was
kind of
like,
goes
how
like
do you
this.
kill Captain Marvel with a
She got
statue?
tired. She's got tired.
The
That's all.
first
She
time I
got tired.
watched it, I said that doesn't make any sense. She literally can't die like that. Like that will like
Honestly,
she can't even choose to die like that.
the one that I thought was bullshit was Captain Carter because like Captain Carter would have dodged.
Uh,
like
that one,
no man, she would
not
have
because
dodged. She would have dodged the shield because she knows that it's made out of vibranium and that it would sever her in half. It's just like damn. So you build up like the Captain Americas to
yeah,
be
but
like these
nobody's
super
perfect.
soldiers.
She can't dodge every Captain America
Look,
doesn't dodge every blow that comes his way.
all I'm saying is, I'm just like, from someone that's like, I can do this all day. I guess they missed their opportunity to take the dodge action. I don't
Yeah,
like. It felt
they
wacky,
rushed the
man.
characters getting
It
killed.
felt
The
wacky.
Illuminati got killed way too fast. So I was really happy to see them in the movie. And I said, oh, they're gonna come up with like a cool ass plan. And there's gonna be a really cool fight scene. And it was just a murder scene, but using some of the
Fake it.
using the biggest
Murder.
characters in all of like Professor X, Black Bolt, Reed Richards. These are some of the and Reed Richards mentioned he had a son, and I was like, oh my god, like bro, they did so many cool things, and then they just kind of were like, and they're all dead.
Yeah, and like also Professor X's death was also kind of bullshit.
He got his
Like I'm
neck
like,
snapped.
okay, this is the master of the mental. She is in his turf. She's on his turf now, and this bitch comes out like the mist, and she's like, bye. And I was like, what? I was like, that just kind of fucking happened. There was really nothing to it.
You just see her
Like, and
creeping
I'm just
towards
like,
him. He's like, give me your hand, give me your
oh,
hand. I
all
can break the
right.
spell.
Like I'm just like he didn't do anything, and that doesn't feel like it's not him losing because he could have lost, but him doing nothing didn't feel like Professor X. That's not the Professor X that I know. Like Professor X would have done so much more. He would have attempted to do so much more, but like all of these versions of these characters were so cheap. And it sucks because they used Patrick Stewart to like. I'm just like I almost wish that you guys hadn't used Patrick Stewart and
Yeah, because anybody could have been
Bryan
him just the same way.
Cranston.
Yeah, like the characters didn't need to be the exact actor that they were, clearly, right?
I'm like, if you're just gonna throw them away, and it's so then like you're like an intelligent person asks themselves, so then why was Patrick Stewart, why was Ryan Cranston in the movie? And you're like, for fan service, they were pandering.
Yeah,
And
I
then
remember
you feel as an audience member like you're like, nah, dude, fuck that, that sucks.
I
Like,
remember seeing something that said this movie's gonna have more character cameos in it than like any other Marvel movie and stuff. And I hate the fact that that's like they put 10 minutes of these characters in it to get that headline off. Like they build hype. Don't get me wrong. The
Dude,
marketing
I
for
hate headlines so
the
much.
the
Do you
bro,
know?
go ahead.
Do you know? Like this is because I guess Marvel is owned by Disney now. I saw a pretty funny article saying like Disney doesn't know. Disney doesn't remember how many gay characters they've had headline a movie or something because there's like a thing you can like look it up. I don't remember the exact movies, but it's like a movie will come out that'll have a gay character in it, and Disney will be like, "We have a gay character in this movie, and it's the first time that a gay character has ever had a lead role in a movie." And like they'll say that, but then their next movie they'll say that again,
Yes.
and it's like, well, it's not the first time anymore. You only, like you can't say it's this amazing feat anymore. You already did it.
Yeah, Marvel / Disney, there's definitely, I mean, the marketing for this was, I guess, successful because I went into it thinking it was going to be really, really good. I was like, oh, it's going to be all these different characters in it. I already knew Professor X was going to be in it because I think I just got kind of spoiled in a way. But like,
I didn't know Professor X was going to be in it. I mean, I assumed because I knew from the trailers that the Illuminati was going to be in the movie.
So that's what I mean. Like, because I knew the Illuminati was going to be in the movie, I was like, well, I know who's part of it. You know what I mean?
Wasn't Professor X in the trailer? Didn't they like show like his chair?
I think they might have shown us. Yeah, because people.
I don't remember. I only saw the trailer once.
People did post online the actual trailer, and they slowed down like a really quick shot where you saw his chair.
Yeah. People do that. Like, for example, people are pretty convinced Star Wars is going to be in Kingdom Hearts 4 because they paused like this one scene and there's like a foot, and they're like, this is like they like compared it. They're like, this is like the foot of like one of those walkers in Star Wars or whatever. Like, this is definitely like this is 100% definitely Star Wars.
Yo, bro,
I didn't notice that. Like, I didn't notice that. But like, you see it on Reddit and shit.
Well, you know, the internet is gonna literally frame by frame a trailer, like frame by frame, like literally.
Whereas like I just watched a trailer once, and
Me too. I watch it once.
When it comes to the analytical stuff, like I want to be analytical about the thing. I'm not going to analyze the trailer. Like, I'm going to just. Watch
I also genuinely don't like trailers, if I'm being completely honest. But we have more incentive to even talk about trailers because of the podcast nowadays. Like, I don't really care for trailers. I think all of us agree. I would go, for example, I currently still have not watched a trailer to Demon Slayer's next arc.
I didn't even know a trailer came.
I haven't seen the trailer for Love and Thunder or like really anything. I've just been too busy. But I haven't seen the trailers for pretty much.
I saw the trailer for Love and Thunder only because I saw it in the movie theater.
Yeah,
like
same.
I saw.
I missed the previews.
Yeah, I saw the Love and Thunder preview in the. Can I ask? This is not necessarily about WandaVision, but let me ask you guys a question. Did the theater I went to? I got really annoyed. We got to like the fourth trailer, and I was like, "Why are the lights still on?" Like, they didn't turn the lights off in the theater until the movie actually started, and I was like, I don't know.
Weird.
I was like that. I just got really annoyed, and my brother who I went with said like, "Oh, that's how they usually do it now. They don't turn the lights off until the movie actually starts."
I go to AMC.
I was like,
what? I go to AMC, and every AMC I've ever gone to has never done that.
Also go to AMC, and the
lights are off. I also go to AMC with the Dolby Vision, Dolby Atmos, everything. Like I go to the top of the line one because it's free. Not literally free, but I pay for the AMC
you might as well.
thing. Yeah, I might as well see the highest quality version of the movie because I pay $20 a month to see 3 movies a week. So this is not bad.
I wasn't particularly expecting anything from this movie because No Way Home was so great that I was just kind of like, that's like, that's kind of the top for me. I didn't expect that this movie was gonna be bad though, and I went to go see it in IMAX. If I thought the movie was gonna be bad, I wouldn't have paid for it.
I thought it was gonna be way better than it was because of Spider-Man No Way Home. Because of how well done that movie was done. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. I would say, like, I would probably give, like, if I were to give it a 1 out of 10 rating, like, I'd give it like around a 5. Like, I think it was a good movie. Like,
I think that's where I would put it to 5.
It's a good movie.
I'd give it a nice solid 3.5.
I can't give it a 3. But I would give it like a 5. Like, and 5 on my scale, 5 doesn't. It's not like IGN where 5 means it's unplayable. Like 5 just means like it's a movie.
You mean 5 out of 10? The average means actually average.
To me, it does. To me, it
crazy.
Does. But yeah, whereas like
5 is
like Spider-Man, like Spider-Man's like a 9 or a 10 out of 10. Like I think No Way Home
Spider-Man
is one of the best Marvel movies.
So I actually have something to say about No Way Home and like Spider-Man versus this movie and the multiverse, regarding the multiverse. But I feel like we should talk about Doctor Strange because we haven't talked about him yet. And hey, that's a fucking problem because it's called Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. And it didn't feel like Doctor Strange or the Multiverse of Madness really had anything to do with the movie. We didn't really get much multiverse, and we didn't really get any substantial Doctor Strange. He was on screen a lot, but he didn't really do anything. He was a supporting role in his own movie, which sucks because
I mean, he was the lead character. Wanda, I get what you're saying, but Wanda was the villain. So Doctor Strange is the protagonist.
The fact that we are only just talking about Doctor Strange now, after like nearly 2 hours, is kind of like a testament to how the movie really had nothing to do with him.
So hold on. I'll say this though, because what we were talking about, because the main thing that was the problem with the script was the villain's motivations, Wanda's motivations, right? So we spent a lot of time talking about those motivations and whether or not we agreed on those points. So
And
I think
took the spotlight. It took the spotlight away from what was supposed to be the protagonist, and it sucks because
yeah, but the
Doctor.
villain's motivations is always an important part of a movie. So I wouldn't say that Wanda's the main character because she was the villain.
I'm not.
Fuck
I'm not saying.
motivation.
I'm not saying she's the main character. Doctor Strange is the main character. He's a bad main character in this movie though because we don't really get anything substantial from him. Like he doesn't have an arc that I can recall. He doesn't have an arc.
The most you get from Doctor Strange, I'll just say it, was when he went to the wedding and then he basically felt sad that she was getting married to someone else, and then immediately the movie starts from there. Like
he was like, "How could you date that? How could you marry that black guy?"
yeah, like
Anyway.
the second, the second, you know, he goes to the wedding and he makes her wine, and she says, "Are you happy?" That was his whole arc. It was like, "Are you happy?"
That was his whole arc.
He
Yeah.
lies and says, "I am happy," but he's actually clearly, obviously not happy. And that was
the bad arc.
He has that part at the end where he like fixes the watch. I guess that's his arc. I don't know.
yeah,
I don't think that's a bad arc though. Like it was subtle, but I don't think it was bad. Like it was pretty good.
the whole thing was.
But
you
he's
didn't get
the main
girl.
character. He's the main character though. He's supposed to have the arc, you know. And also, it's like what really sucks about it is that Doctor Strange has been the supporting role in like every other film that he's been in. And so I was hoping that he would like be the star of the show.
I'm gonna be honest.
As much as hopefully the villain was, but like not even close.
I'm gonna be honest. This felt exactly the way he felt in No Way Home, like a supporting character. Like he actually felt the same way he was in No Way Home. Like this kind of character, he is there a lot. Like he's there for a good amount, and then when he's not there, it's like the more important stuff is happening when he's not there, though. Like when he's not on screen, I feel like the more important stuff is happening. Like in No Way Home, when he's not on screen, there's a lot of crazy important stuff happening when like Spider-Man's on the screen. And Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, when Wanda's on the screen by herself, or when the Illuminati's on the screen for 10 minutes, or like when America's on the screen, or when Wong is on the screen, I felt like a lot more important things are happening that don't necessarily include him. And so it kind of made it seem like he really was a supporting character in his movie outside of him going to this wedding and being like, "Are you happy?" He's like, "No, I'm not happy." Like him walking into his own dead body.
I also
like really what do you get? What do you get for Doctor Strange? What do you get out of Doctor Strange in this movie?
well
Like
his character and what they showed through his other versions of himself through the different multiverses is Doctor Strange's arrogance and his tendency to go through great risk to do things on his own for what he believes to be the greater
which
good.
was known already.
And then they show you that throughout the movie, and then like by the end, like, you know, he makes whatever decision he makes to try to do whatever better.
They
But-
kind of don't show you that though. It's like the first scene, you get a glimpse of it in the first scene, and then his other self is dead, and then like in the final leg of the movie, you see like, oh, this is me after I've made mistake after mistake after mistake. But like you don't really get. I got more.
They show it again with the Illuminati too. then-
yeah, they tell you with the Illuminati. They tell
Well,
you
no.
with the Illuminati.
They show you. What do you mean?
Well, oh,
That was
what
a
in that one the one flashback. But like that's not enough though. That's not enough for someone that's supposed to be the main character. I got more of what they were trying to say in What If than I did in this movie. And it would like that's what this movie was about. Like if I didn't have the context of What If, I'd be like, I don't know, he doesn't seem that dangerous.
You know, okay, so I see it from both of your perspectives. Like, yeah, they showed it or whatever. They kind of just said, like, yeah, you're dangerous. You're dangerous to the multiverse. You're the most dangerous thing to the multiverse, which is so ridiculous to me, only because Wanda was literally ODing on the multiverse at the time. So they're like, yeah, you're the most.
The thing is, I agree. Doctor Strange, like Stephen Strange, is, as it has been shown throughout the multiple pieces of Marvel media, he is the biggest threat to the multiverse. And again, a lot of that comes from What If. That like his journey through What If really showed you like how
an incursion in the movie. Like in the movie, we got to see what the aftermath of an incursion, and that was caused by another Doctor Strange. And then we know what happens in What If, which honestly seems like the same exact character, just put into.
I thought that too. I thought it was maybe going to be that or like a variant of that or something.
It just seemed like the same character to me. Like that world and everything. I was like, oh, okay, this is actually that, but just put in the real life.
And that's kind of what I was hoping for and expecting, and I was like, oh, that'd be cool. But then he also died like a weird death too.
Yeah, he forgot he had magic and let himself be impaled on some spikes, which was so random. That didn't
Honestly,
make any sense.
I feel like this whole movie has been a big disservice to Doctor Strange. He's master of the mystical.
I shouldn't say he died.
The
His third eye
former
opened.
the former Sorcerer Supreme, and especially after having seen the first movie again, this movie didn't feel very magical. He didn't really do a lot of magical.
Wait.
Whoa.
You didn't
Whoa.
like the magical notes? You didn't like
I was
the
just
music?
about to. I was waiting for you guys to start.
Hold on.
They had one of the best fight scenes in all of Marvel.
One scene doesn't negate.
We've said multiple times though the movie has a lot of good scenes. Whether or not you like the script writing is one thing. The movie has a lot of great scenes.
Okay, but not scenes that really exhibit him being the former Sorcerer Supreme. Like a lot of it is okay, he gets flung through the multiverse, and then like he does some magical stuff here and there, but like compared to the first movie, go watch the first movie again. Go watch the first Doctor Strange.
There's no magic kung fu in the first movie. To be fair, and this is something I
Go
don't
watch
the
the
magic.
first movie again and tell me that this movie has more magic than the first one.
They do kung fu in the first movie. That's their magic.
And there's fucking magic inception happening in cities, and they're like in the Mirrorverse, fucking fighting and shit like that. This movie had like next to none of that. Also, huge thing that I really, really had a fucking problem with, that book. They allude to this book, right? Being like the antithesis. Yeah, it being like the antithesis of the Darkhold and blah 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 and all that stuff. They finally get to it, and you're like, cool, this is near the climax.
Rainy days.
And then they're just like, yeah, fuck that, we'll do something else. And I was like, wait, what? I was like, what was the point of this? That was the point of the movie, honestly.
They did start the movie off. They started the movie off talking about the Book of Ashanti. Like they made it a really big deal. It was the first scene. The opening scene of the movie is the Book of Ashanti. And then when they finally get to it in the movie, it gets destroyed in 2 seconds. And I cannot.
And they move on without a word. No one says they don't say anything about it.
It gets destroyed in literally 2 seconds. Then the other book that got destroyed was the Darkhold. It also got destroyed in 2 seconds. The black girl who survived the onslaught of her killing everybody at the Taj Mahal or whatever, she comes up out of nowhere and she's like, fuck it, I'll stab it and kill myself. It can't be you.
You said
it can't be you. And she stabs the book and the book dies immediately. And I was like, okay. So both the books that they kind of built up these books, the entire movie, and both of them got dealt with so quick. Like it was instant. Like both of them.
Yeah, something I want to see. I will watch the movie again at some, like probably when it goes on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
They did show quickly. Let me know if you guys caught this, and I don't 100% know what the scene was supposed to mean, other than I guess this is where she got her powers from.
I did not
but the
catch
star,
it. I saw it in a YouTube video.
Yeah, not Ashanti. America's like the star that she wears on her back and the star that she gets her powers. Like she got her powers, as far as I know, from that book. I can't really remember much else about what happened, but it's like as the book's getting destroyed, like the page flips. I remember I saw the star and I was like, "Oh shit!" And then like you don't really get much more.
The book disintegrates. Yeah, and they never elaborate on that. They never go into more anything about it.
The book's not mentioned again, is it?
No,
you saw it twice,
yeah, but I assume she's going to get a movie, right? Like they're going to give this bitch a movie,
or they're going to give her a show.
Yeah.
I think a movie is a bit. I don't think that girl can carry a movie, if I'm being honest. Like, no offense to her, but just like her.
I mean, shows are longer than movies, though.
It's a shame because she could have been like a pretty good character in this movie, but
the only thing I'll say about
character that was a character in this movie was Wanda, and not even a good one.
What I was going to say about show versus movie is that a movie is a consecutive like 2 hours long, and I cannot imagine looking at America Chavez for 2 hours on any kind of journey. Like it is already grueling enough having to. I'll just be honest. I did not enjoy her character at all, and it's not really her fault.
Didn't do anything with her.
Yeah, her character arc was stepping on top of the memory machine and seeing that she sneezed away her fucking parents from a bee, and I was supposed to feel sad about that. And I was like, I don't care. I literally do not care.
I thought that was going to be like the start of her character arc. I was like, okay, finally, like this girl's opening up. Cool. This is going to be the beginning. Oh, this is where her and Strange, like they can find like some kind of common ground, and they'll like
her to have more development in other universes. I like when she said that I'm the only one. There aren't multiple versions of me. I wanted them to kind of show. They showed the flashback for Strange being like destroyed by Black Bolt. There should have been like some America Chavez going through other multiverses, maybe like a little montage that would have been funny. Like Marvel likes its comedy, and I typically do not like Marvel comedy, but I think it would have been an amazing scene to see her go through different multiverses, meeting the Hulk in different iterations, meeting like different Lokis or something, like shaking hands with these other people, and like literally with a song and everything, like a little montage that just shows her going through different. She apparently went through several universes. And she said that I'm surprised that in your universe you have to pay for food because in most other universes that's not a thing. So she's been to several of them, and I just thought it would have been cool to show some of that. But maybe that's what her show or movie would be about.
Yeah, but they could have gave her something because again, even though these things are all connected, each thing is still a standalone thing, and it has to succeed on its own. It's got to be able to stand up on its own. And this character is nothing but plot device. She does nothing but push the plot forward, and that's a shame.
Yeah, every time something's about to happen, she sneezes away to another dimension. It's like, okay. Opening scene, she sneezes away to our dimension. Then she does it again later on, and then she does it again later on, and she does it again later on. Then she's forced to do it by Wanda.
So aside from this movie not really feeling magical, it doesn't really feel multiversal either. There's a scene where they go through the multiverse.
Yeah,
that's it.
That scene was really cool. Like the visual of it, that was a really
it was
cool
great.
Scene.
It was like that. Yeah, that transition.
But then they go to one. They go to one other universe, and then they go to an incursion universe, which we've seen in What If, and that was.
Think about it. This movie has three or four main sets. It's got the world that they end up going to, the Illuminati world. It's got, which ends up kind of just being a lab. It's got that was the same universe.
They walk around in New York and shit.
Yeah. So that's all. That's the same universe. That's the same universe, right? Okay. So
that's where they saw the statue of Doctor Strange, and it was like he by himself killed Thanos, and the Illuminati was like, "Well, I mean, that's not real."
So they got that one universe, and then they have the incursion universe, and then they have like our universe. And I'm like, for the multiverse of madness, you only go to three universes.
That was it. They showed a ton of them. They showed a Nexus when she created the little Nexus to see where she was going to steal somebody's kids.
The multiverse of mildness.
I'm about to start. What is Child Protective Services? What is that? Like, that's essentially, she just goes around fucking stealing kids. That's what she literally wanted to do. I'm not doing this again. Anyway,
honestly, my opinion, the movie didn't need Wanda. They could have done the movie without Wanda. And it probably would have been a lot better movie.
Well, have you noticed that the movies seem to be pairing? They're just pairing people together now. It's kind of the thing. Like I feel like all the movies are two or more pairings. Like Thor: Love and Thunder is going to be him paired, right? Again, it's like this movie was Doctor Strange and Wanda paired. Then you had Spider-Man and Doctor Strange pair. It's kind of like this thing that they're doing where they're calling a movie like a character's name, like Spider-Man: No Way Home, but it's like also let me give you Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, and that's a big part of the movie is them two together. And then now,
but like in this movie though, like Doctor Strange's biggest foil should have been himself, and that would have been a great character arc for him to realize his arrogance and how he is actually a threat to the multiverse. His foil
interesting. He actually ends up falling to some of the pitfalls that I thought he would avoid. Like he started using the Darkhold, and he was demanding that shit too. He's like, no, give it to me now. I don't have time for this. I was like, what the fuck? And then he fights the other Strange, who, by the way, the Strange that he fights for the Darkhold, look at his surroundings. And you're fighting for this exact same power. He's like, no, I gotta get back. I need that book right now. And then he just starts fucking walking into a dead body, and they're like, yo, the price for walking into a dead body is like you want to suffer the permanent consequences of doing this. And then his random girlfriend from another universe says, hey, use the spirits. And I'm like, whoa, when did you become an expert on magic? Like, what the fuck did she just... She's like, yeah,
science.
She's like,
science, Regina George.
She's like, use the spirits. Yeah, she said, didn't she say that? She's like, use the spirits.
Yeah.
And then he makes them into a cape. I was like, what? Wait, what? How the fuck? When did she become the expert on how to... I'm surprised Wong didn't say like, hey, like, this is definitely going to be some fucked up shit, but like, you have to use that power.
Wong was just present.
Barely.
He was
wanted people to bow to him the entire movie. I thought that this movie was a perfect opportunity to kill Wong, and that would have given Strange back his Sorcerer Supreme title, because here's the reality, guys. They're going to kill Wong. I thought it was going to be this movie because this was a great opportunity to kill Wong, but they're going to, I guess, wait later on so it can hurt us a bit more or something. But Wong is going to die.
Doctor Strange actually has a fucking character arc.
Wong is going to die so that way Strange gets the Sorcerer Supreme title back. He is the Sorcerer Supreme. He has to be the Sorcerer Supreme. Wong is going to die 100%. And I'm just wondering when. I swore it was going to be this movie. There was no way you could tell me there wasn't going to be an insane scene where Wong does something to get himself killed. And like Strange, maybe that makes Strange use the Darkhold or something, but he just used it on his own accord. And I was like, all right, well, after you knew what an incursion was and you knew everything that could go wrong, you still decided to resort to using that exact power. And just all of these things that are forbidden and awful to do, he just still did them all. And I was like, okay.
But even if he had done that, that could have been another notch toward his character arc of him realizing his arrogance. But it wasn't. Like, he was like, I did that and it worked. I'm great.
Yeah, I think the bad part is that he does think, because he did everything that he wanted to do, like R. Strange, he did everything that he wanted to do and it actually worked out. Like, he used the Darkhold, it worked out. Like, he went for the Book of Vishanti or whatever. Like, everything he did honestly works for him. So he's gonna go through the next movie probably believing like, well, I'm still right. Like, I still saved the world or the universe or whatever you want to call it. Like, I still did things right at the end of the day.
Even if it worked out-ish, the end credit scene tells us that it didn't necessarily work.
Okay, he's got a third eye. That's the worst. That, like, again,
it's more than having three eyes. That's telling us that things didn't work out nicely.
So I guess in the next movie when he starts killing children and everything, I'm supposed to be like, oh, this is fine. Because I saw him with a third eye. So I guess it's fine because I saw the third eye. Therefore, like, everything he does that's just sacrilegious in the next movie should just be forgiven or overlooked as like, okay, it's cool. He had a third eye at the end of it. So, we knew he was evil. We knew that he was capable of killing people and children.
There was a lot of Marvel media that kind of built up for this movie between What If, WandaVision, Loki, Spider-Man, No Way Home. They all kind of like alluded and built up for what this, like, they laid the bedrock for what this movie could have been. And this movie was a big fat nothing. Like, none of that really got explored. The multiverse didn't get explored. The dangers of the Sorcerer Supreme and his power through the multiverse didn't get explored. Like, none of it really got explored. The Watcher didn't like get mentioned in the movie at all. Like, this movie kind of was like a nothing.
I do want to know, like, now that Wanda's gone, again, I do think that she's actually dead. But whether she is or not, she can't come back from what she did. So she's dead. Figuratively, even if she's not literally dead, but I do think she's literally dead. I think they actually made that whole scene where the thing collapses on her. I was like, yeah, she's gone. Because, like, that character can't come back from it. But I'm wondering, like, what's the next step here? Because I thought I saw Psylocke come at the end of the movie, but then I heard that wasn't actually Psylocke. And I was like,
who did you think was Psylocke? I didn't catch that.
There was an end credit scene where somebody came and they had this blade on her. She had the same color hair as Psylocke. And she had this outfit on and she fucking sliced a portal. She opened the portal while Doctor Strange was walking down the street and she said, come with me. And
first I thought Psylocke too, but Psylocke can't do that. Also, Psylocke has to be Asian because she's Asian. So if they act like
the whites haven't taken a bunch of roles.
So again, if they
progress has been made, all right.
Kings of Egypt.
Wait, the last Psylocke was Asian. She's played by Olivia Munn.
But let's not act like this is out of their wheelhouse, okay?
Oh, no, I totally agree with you. I'm like, if y'all
Ghost
like
in the Shell is Scarlett Johansson.
Okay? Scarlett Johansson, she reprised
the last samurai is Tom fucking Cruise. Okay? The Kings of Egypt.
Isn't there a movie called like The Mexican with like Brad Pitt or something?
Yes. The Kings of Egypt are all white men. Like, I can go on. This is normal. So it's not exactly above Hollywood to be like, we're going to cast this white person as a role that doesn't,
that's not white.
Yeah, that's not a white role. And then the crazy part is nobody gets mad at that. But then, God forbid you make Ariel have a little melanin and then the fucking whole universe goes crazy. Oh man.
Well, here's hoping that they don't make Psylocke white.
But I am trying.
Nah,
Kenny, what do you think? What do you think? Because I know you have like a very different opinion from me and Anthony. I'm wondering
yeah.
the purpose of this movie, like the end of it. I don't really know what to think about the end of the movie. It's like Scarlet Witch raged out, Scarlet Witch killed herself, and now what? Like I guess I'm not really
Yeah.
sure.
So I don't like, for example, I don't necessarily agree that they didn't, like, I think that they did explore the multiverse. They did explore a lot of themes and told us things about the multiverse that we didn't know. In terms of the end of the movie, once again, what this movie felt like to me, it did feel like an in-between movie. Like it is a movie
Yes.
that it feels like an in-between movie. It feels like it's a movie that very more so than most Marvel movies. Because at this point, the Marvel movies, the universe is very connected. And it's hard to watch any of them without watching the other ones. However, a lot of them can still stand on their own. Spider-Man, I was about to call it Into the Spider-Verse, but No Way Home, even if you don't see every Marvel movie, you can still watch that Spider-Man movie.
Yes.
Whereas this movie very much is kind of like Infinity War in that it requires all of the other movie knowledge to
And
go into
shows
watching
you
it.
need to watch WandaVision
But
and What If.
yeah, but it doesn't have the same payoff as Infinity War, and it feels much more like an in-between movie. So for example, you guys, most of this episode have been like your complaints about the movie, and although I don't necessarily agree with all of your complaints, I have a hard time fully arguing against them because while I don't fully agree, I'm not like in love with the movie either. Like I just think the movie's okay. So I do agree that this movie's just kind of like an in-between movie, and I don't really know what they're setting up for
Yeah, I
going
feel like it
forward.
accomplished two
Like
things: introducing America Chavez to the universe of Marvel, right? Like, so now America Chavez is a character that can travel in between universes. She's going to be very,
Yep.
very important going forward, if not
Yeah.
the most important character in the entire Marvel universe going forward. So they introduced and established that this character now exists. Okay, so now you have this fucking elevator to any multiverse, right? And then they also got rid of Scarlet Witch. I'm not exactly sure why they felt the need to just get rid of her. Maybe she's too powerful, and if she's on the good side, it's like she's too powerful. Again, I guess it's like from my perspective, I don't know what the reason of them killing her like that was. She just kind of
Yeah.
like dealt with.
So kind of the like something I did enjoy, like I said earlier, the horror. I did enjoy the movie as its own movie for what it tried to do, making like a horror superhero movie. But as the movie is, it is an in-between movie, and it's part of the unfortunate problem. It's a victim of what they're doing with this new phase of Marvel, right?
Yeah.
Initially, they made the original Marvel movies that all eventually led up to Infinity War. A lot of those movies were standalone movies that just so happen to have just enough Easter eggs to tie them together going forward. But now, since they know they have an established universe, they're making movies that they know are part of other movies blatantly. And so this movie is just like it feels like a tie-in movie. Like this movie is connecting everything from we have from old Marvel into what we're going into because we know we're going into like some Kang the Conqueror multiversal stuff, and this movie just more so ends up being a bridge, a piece of glue to connect those eras of Marvel.
To me, it just establishes like again, America Chavez, what an incursion is, what an incursion looks like. If you haven't seen What If, they give they give an actual term to it, right? So now you know what it means when you see a universe destroyed like that. It's called an incursion. They also established that Black Bolt and Reed Richards has a kid, which I thought was really cool. Franklin Richards, right? And then you have Black Bolt being one of the strongest Marvel characters there is. He exists out there in other universes, so they
you think they'll use I mean, that's here's a question. Even though these characters were introduced and killed in the same movie in the 10 minutes.
In the same 10 minutes.
Yeah. Do you think that they're setting like are they going to set up revealing Black Bolt in our universe? You know what I mean? Are they going to show Fantastic Four in our universe?
I was thinking that the cool thing is now we can get a Fantastic Four movie because we know that they exist, and we can get Black Bolt. Maybe not a whole movie for him, but maybe he'll appear and then be like a cooperative character in another movie. I think that they are going to do that though. I think Black Bolt will be a part of because it also maybe sets up for World War Hulk, which is a really big comic, and that will be really cool to see because I know he ends up killing Black Bolt in that and a bunch of other people. He can withstand Black Bolt's entire full force scream, like he can just take it. Hulk is ridiculous, and they're going. I guess Black Bolt. We're going to be seeing Black Bolt die a lot. If what I think is happening next is going to happen. But I do think they're going to. Your question was, you think they're going to introduce these characters? It's going to be weird to introduce them. Like, here's our universe's version of Black Bolt and Reed Richards. After we just watched them get killed like that, but they could do it in a funny way. Like Doctor Strange could. Well, he didn't see them die, did he?
No, but I did think it was funny when they were like when they said something like, and then Doctor Strange was like, well, no shit. They're like, we have a breach. He was like, no shit. Like I was telling you that.
Yeah, I thought it would have been cool if he saw them die. I was gonna say there could be a scene where he first meets Black Bolt and he's just staring at him, and Black was like, why is he like? He don't say it. He can't speak really, but
he writes it on a piece of paper.
He kind of is like, why is he staring at me? He just keeps looking at him like, I saw you fucking get your head blown off. You can't get. You know when you see somebody die or something, it's just like I can't unsee that.
Yeah.
But that could have been fun. But I don't know what they're going to do to introduce them. I do think that they will be characters, though, at the end of the day. I don't think they'll use Professor X again. I think he will not be going forward. And I'm basing that on literally nothing. I just don't think they're going to keep using Patrick Stewart over and over again. Like they do another Professor X. I think they'll choose a different actor. Maybe the other actor that played him when he was young. Forget that guy's name.
Yeah, me too.
I like him, though, from... God, I'm drawing a blank. What's that movie that he's in? He has all the different personalities and stuff. He's really good.
Oh, man. But his name is evading me right now, too.
Yeah.
It would be interesting if they, like, tried to, somewhere down the line, introduce, like, Magneto and shit like that.
Yes, I do want the mutants.
James McAvoy. That's right.
James McAvoy. There you go. Good actor. Yeah, I do want the X-Men. I want the Fantastic Four. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that they can do from this movie. This movie just basically set up for a bunch of other stuff. And
I actually have
killing
a minor
Scarlet
complaint.
Witch.
I have a minor complaint, and Izzy, my friend Izzy, brought this up. Right, it made me realize. So, what is the truth of the multiverse and variants? Do they all look alike or don't they? Because, like most of the Marvel media, like Loki, No Way Home, something else. They look like different. They're different actors. They look different.
Different genders, different animals.
They're different. But then in the Multiverse of Madness, they're the same. Like Doctor Strange is always going to be Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah.
Well,
or isn't like what's
even in Loki, we saw like in Loki, right? There was like a bunch that were different, but then there were some that was the same. I think the answer is just like there's infinite. Like there's an infinite number that look exactly the same and an infinite number that look different because that's what the multiverse is.
I'll have to watch Loki again. I thought they all looked different.
I think it's just like it's one of those things. If we're going to buy into the multiverse, because the idea is that there's an infinite number of universes, right? And so it's like in that there's however many where they look the same and there's however many where they're different, right? Because
personally, I wouldn't do it like that. I'd choose one or the other, but
it's right because like with the Spider-Man one, like the fun of that was seeing the other actors, right? They could have just made it all. They could have just all made it Tom Holland, but like the fun of it was them bringing the other actors in. But like if those actors didn't exist, I don't know, that movie wouldn't exist if those.
But I mean, but then they do it again in Loki, where they're like every variant of his is different. And I guess the fun in that is like they were different versions of like Loki in the comics, like him and and stuff like that.
Yeah, like classic. I kept saying Yoki. Classic Loki was there and shit.
Yeah, but I will say overall, my first impression of the movie was I walked out of it and I was like, that was cool. And then the more that I thought about it, the angrier that I got because like I was like, that wasn't good. So
yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun movie. I thought it had some really good scenes, really great camera work.
I just wanted more. I wanted more magic, man. Like I wanted some more. Like the music fight was great. I thought that was great. I wanted more of that. Like the first movie had astral projection. It had magic fights. It had the mirror world. It had a bunch of magic spells. Like this movie didn't have any of that. It just had the music fight. And then the very beginning, the first scene where like they're going through like
when they're running
the space between spaces.
Yeah.
Like that felt magical. I wanted more of that. I thought I was gonna get some more of that. I thought I was gonna get more like magic Doctor Strange, but I don't know. This was Doctor Strange is present in the multiverse. I
felt like we got a decent amount of magic shit.
I didn't.
A problem I have with the magic in general so far that we've seen in the Marvel universe. And I think this is very true in the first Doctor Strange movie. It's true in parts of this movie. Is that a lot of the magic just comes down to fucking they're just airbending. Like they just do magic martial arts. Like most of the magic is they make like magic whips and magic blades on their hands and they just do martial arts and it's like all right, whatever.
I mean, because it's taught in Asia.
I mean, there's little cool parts like when he made he tied his tie, right? And then he turned her wine.
Yeah.
She asked for a glass of red wine. He said, "Allow me." He turns it red. There was like a little cool things that I would do just to because I don't want to do things normally. I'm fucking magical, right? I might as well tie my tie with magic. I might as well, if my ex fiance or whatever wanted a drink, I'll turn her drink to whatever she wants it to, her favorite drink. There was little tiny stuff like that, but yeah, I mean, the magic is whatever. Honestly, at this point,
like, okay, think about it, right? Like when you think about what Doctor Strange and what he can do, right? Like one of the first things you think about is like when he in Infinity War made like a million versions of himself and had like multiple arms, like he was the god of destruction, right?
Yeah,
like
that shit was
you're
crazy.
like, oh shit, like that's the Sorcerer Supreme. What in this movie was like
wild.
that?
That scene
zombie
was
thing.
Wild.
Zombie Strange did that.
That's
when
whack,
he took control of the ghost. What do you mean? He did exactly that with the ghost.
Like, but it's the same thing though. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, there wasn't like a oh shit, here's a Doctor Strange moment. That was an Ash and the Evil Dead moment.
I could not take the dead man walking seriously at all. That entire part where he walked and they started playing guitar riffs, it just got real weird. Like it was like and you see the hand come up out the grave, and then the next scene you see him on top of the icy mountain. He's walking like a zombie, and
it was a little too campy for me.
It's really silly, but I enjoyed that.
Yeah, I know that people definitely would like that.
Like, it was fun.
That part, I was like, oh god, it was the whole point of the other Strange dying, so that later on he could walk into his dead body. I was like, this is what?
That was the whole point.
That, I mean, literally though, like it was just like, okay, so you wanted to show that the other Strange decided to steal this girl's power for himself because he realized that she was a threat, so I might as well use it on my own, which is reasonable. That's something that Doctor Strange would do. He's always talks about the grand calculus of the universe. If you wanted me to know who Doctor Strange was, though, I kind of already knew that he's willing to do the one thing it takes to get the good result. He let 14 million possibilities go by and chose the one where Tony Stark dies. He chose the one where he gave away the time stone, knowing that Vision.
I did like that one scene. There was a scene in this movie where somebody asked him about that.
The guy who sat down next to him at the fucking wedding.
I did like that scene.
He said, "Is that the only way? There was no other way that we could have done this?" Because he said, "My brother died, my dad died," and he was like, "Doctor Strange can't say anything."
That was when the movie was still good. It was at the beginning.
Yeah.
So,
I like that scene.
At that point in the movie, I was like, oh, this is setting up to be really nice. Because I thought that Doctor Strange was going to tamper with the timeline.
You really thought that it was going to be like an arc for
I did. So here's what I thought. Honestly,
and it really wasn't.
Here's what I thought. I thought Doctor Strange was going to tamper with the timeline to get the girl. When the guy said that comment about, yeah, but you didn't get the girl, like after he said, I saved the universe or whatever, he said that, and then she started coming down the aisle, and Doctor Strange stood up, and the music kind of stops a bit, and it's going in slow motion, and he's looking at her come down the aisle, getting married to someone else. I said, oh shit, he's about to go and start doing some magic to change the outcome, right?
Yo, how cool would that have been if, let's say, right, like our
That's
universe
literally the same movie,
Strange. Wait.
Just Wanda did it.
Wait. So, our Stephen Strange is like trying to manipulate time, the multiverse, so that he can end up with Regina George, right? And
is that the actor's name?
Oh shit!
No, that is no. It's Rachel McAdams.
Who's Regina George?
Pretty sure it's Rachel McAdams. Pretty sure, yeah. But it's the same actor. But. So he starts trying to manipulate forces so that he can be with her, right? Which is the same thing that What If Doctor Strange did, right?
He tried to stop her from dying.
Well, yeah, but to be with her.
Yeah.
So he manipulated any force that he could to be with her. So our universe's Stephen Strange starts doing the same thing because he realizes the multiverse is out there and he can do it, right? And then that is when he comes into contact with the incursion version of himself and what he could be. and where he's made his mistakes. And he starts running into the Stephen Stranges of the multiverse that exhibit the point that he is the biggest threat to the multiverse.
Yeah, like
And
I could even see.
he sees like, oh shit, my inevitable actions, I am the biggest threat to the multiverse. Like, and that would have been a character arc.
I could
He
even
would've
see
had
the
that.
Incursion Strange being the villain of the movie. Like I could have for sure seen him because he made some crazy comments about how he wanted to take his Rachel, whatever is that her name, Rachel?
Yeah.
He wanted to steal his Rachel and all that stuff. Like I'll give you the book, you give me your Rachel. He's like, I don't think she's going to go for that. Like, I could have saw him being, and like you said, Kenny, they did kind of set the trailer up where that was what it seemed like the movie was going to be, but then they just completely got us all with the whole Scarlet Witch is actually the evil character in this entire thing, and it's like okay.
An even better, more radical idea that would have actually, involved some thought and effort. Doctor Strange is both the hero and he is both the villain. He and like the incursion version of himself is kind of like the foil to really show him that it like he basically is presenting himself with a choice because
they did do that.
I think
but
that
just
is, yeah,
without making.
Yeah, but like
I think that they did do that too.
But it was like it was with no character arc though, so it felt hollow.
I don't necessarily agree there was no character arc. I don't think it was the greatest character arc ever, but I do think we got what you're asking for us to give. They just didn't make it the main premise of the movie.
I mean, it was just throughout the movie, like he was like, I'm not gonna do what my other self did because they show him being bad in the beginning and he didn't really see that. He dreamt it. And he's like, I'm not going to be that guy, even though he is that guy. And then, like, at the end, they're like, see what happens when you're that guy? And then he's like, all right, well, I'm going to do exactly what that guy did, and I'm going to steal his shit. And I'm like, so then I'm like, what is the character arc? It's all over the place.
I said it earlier. I was genuinely shocked when he went to the Incursion verse and said, I'm going to take that book and I'm going to do exactly what you did. I could not believe it. I said, what the fuck? Then we just went over this. You had a whole speech. There was a whole speech told to you about this, literally this. I couldn't believe it.
This shit right here.
They wanted to make sure that he was consistent though. And I like I said, that's not lost on me. I'm not an idiot. Like I get it. They wanted to make sure that we understood that no matter what, Strange is always going to be himself. He's always going to believe that he can do it differently, right? Like every Doctor Strange thinks that, he messed up, but that's not me. I can do it better. And so I get that was the point of it. Is like, well, you saw the Incursion Strange, but you're like, I'm not him. So
that's why he could have been both the hero and the villain. It could have been a transformative thing, and then he's presented at the end with like, well, is this who you want to become? And then you would have really been like you would have felt it as an audience member, like you would have been like, oh shit, like yeah, he did do all that shit. He is questionably the largest danger of the multiverse. And then like it would have been good, but no.
Quick random side thing that's kind of funny, and we can get close to wrapping up. But the Illuminati part, right, where everybody dies. So I went to see this movie with my little brother, right, and so he's 10, I think, and so I'm in there watching it, and he didn't know who Professor. Obviously, he didn't know who Black Bolt was, right?
Yeah,
but he knew who Reed Richards was. He knew Captain Carter because of whatever, but he did not know who Professor X was. He didn't see the X-Men movies, etc. And so he turns to me and asks me who he is, and I explained to him. I was like, "Oh, that's Professor X." I was like, the X-Men, Wolverine, like he's the one that created it. They're called the X-Men because of him, etc. I was like, he's one of the strongest psychics ever. And I'm explaining like how broken Professor X is. And then when Wanda kills him, my brother turns to me and goes, "Well, he wasn't that strong."
Case in point. Yo, he really just like, thank you. Just give him a big thank you for me, because the fact that his response just kind of like proves how shitty they handled that.
But his eyes were so wide too, because he was like, he was
expecting something.
Dead. He was dead.
He was expecting for Professor X to do something based on how you explained him, because that's who Professor X is. Instead, he just, in his own domain, let his neck get snapped because Wanda jumped out of a mist with
his own domain.
Yo, you can't tell me. Look, I forgot what it was. If it was a show, or if it was a game, or if it was a comic. But the way it was explained to me is that when Professor X is in the astral plane or the what's it called? Fuck, it's the mental plane. It's not called that though. It's called something else. But that when he is there,
Some bullshit, right?
when he is there, that he is unstoppable.
Yeah,
Like
but I will
he
say this though,
rivals even
you
what?
gotta take all that with a grain of salt. A lot of people do that a lot of times. Where we're like, you have to understand. In the comic books, he fucking ruled the 7 million universe, and it's like
Where again,
we have to understand that this is based on what we've seen in the movie because that
which
was
again is
at
fine. Why
Professor X.
that's why it's fine that he died, right? Because like, I think like Stan Lee said he hates when people ask him like who would win versus X and X, and he's like whoever the writer wants to win, right?
Yeah,
Because
that's so
writing the
true.
story. That is the correct answer, right? It's not that he won or that Wanda won or whatever. It's just that he was not Professor X. I didn't see any Professor X in there. He didn't like Charles Xavier he didn't exist. He's just like I got telepathy, and then they're like, okay, cool, and he's like, I'm gonna get you out, and he's like, oh wait, and that was it. That was the end, and I was just like, what the fuck was that? I don't know whoever that was, but I'm glad that schmuck's dead. Like,
Or Professor X. There's that.
Well, all right. I think we are ready to wrap this one up. Before we do, I need to give a shout out to our 42 patrons over at Patreon. Shout out to you guys.
Hell yeah. +2 from the last time.
+2. Yep. 2 of them, and we know them very well. So let's start off. We got Connie, Austin, Leon, Quest, Garen, Xavier, Hylian, TCG Automotive, Silver Chronic, Tyree Tinsley, Dimitri Barnes, Alexander Brissett, Vinny Casello, Game Freak Yoshi, Alex Flamer, Gabe Marini, Henri Reynolds, CJ, WK-1, Saul at Dabber's Gaming Cafe, Dan Vrabel, Dennis Milburn, Joseph Marcello, Scott Page, Red Vines, First to Home, Dalis Fernaris, Tom Watabiki, S. Akuma, Mitchell Niles, Midwest Gaming, William Shapiro, Demetrius Safiridis, Chips, Vince Marquette, Dallas Bailey, KJ, Doc and Ziggy, Biz, Roz Weiss, and Luke Feeney, and Gary Yu. Thank you guys so much for joining the Patreon. As I always say, we really appreciate it. It goes a long way. And before we get out of here, I always say, do the things that make you happy, including if you like Doctor Strange, then take everything we said with a grain of salt. If the movie was
I mean everybody's different. Some people, I'm sure someone like this is their favorite movie, right? For me, it's a cool movie.
Yes, someone out there, this is definitely your favorite movie, and I'm sorry.
Well, before we go, I wanted to real quick ask, is there any upcoming Marvel movies that the two of you are interested in or looking forward to?
Well, what's announced? Because I'm not excited for Thor. I'll be honest. Thor has never been my favorite character. I don't care for him really at all.
Honestly, after Endgame, I kind of checked out, and then Spider-Man, and I only I was like, oh, well, I love Spider-Man.
So I love Spider-Man. That was the last. I don't think that there's an upcoming thing for me.
Yeah, I think unless there's another Spider-Man, until the next Spider-Man, I'm not excited.
Coming up, I believe, is either Thor: Love and Thunder, and then Wakanda Forever, which I'm just interested in what they're doing with that. Like, I don't know if they're going to just recast Black Panther, if they're just going to say that he died. I'm not really sure. But there's Wakanda Forever being made, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, The Marvels. I think there's another Ant-Man movie. Yeah. But I'm interested in out of all of that, I'm interested in Guardians of the Galaxy because I did like the first two. And I'm interested in the Thor movie only because the first two Thor movies are two of the worst movies ever made, but the third Thor movie was really fun. So hopefully the fourth one's good.
Yes, the Fantastic Four that's coming out. Oh, Blade.
Wait, is Blade going to be part of the Marvel universe?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
That's cool.
There's gonna be another Daredevil, Shang-Chi 2. I'm not excited for those. I'm excited for the next Spider-Man, but I'm not excited for anything.
I'm really excited for the next Spider-Man in college. I cannot wait because he has his own costume that he made himself. He's no longer going to be this half Iron Man, half Spider-Man shit.
He's gonna actually start his Spider-Man arc. I guess the next Captain America. I want to see what they're gonna do.
Dude, I'm excited for Black America. That shit's gonna be hype. That shit's gonna be hype as hell.
I'll tell you what it's like, Black in America. All right, well, we're getting out of here.
All right, have a good night, everybody, or a good day.